Seeing that the man in white blocked the incomparably hot beam of fire with one hand, he approached the destroyer armor with ease. Everyone took a deep breath. After all, the power of the destroyer armor's fire beam is obvious to all. It can easily tear apart thick steel and earth, which is more violent than a laser. As a result, such a terrifying beam of fire could not melt a palm made of flesh and blood. How could it not be shocking? The most shocking is the people from Asgard, who know how powerful the destroyer is. Even they would never dare to touch the destroyer's fire beam attack with their bodies, because they would be instantly annihilated. But in front of him, there is a situation that goes against common sense. Li Shu walked towards the destroyer armor and said, "What is this? Let me see." Definitely, it's not that Li Shu doesn't know what this thing is. But he had to pretend to be passing by. After all, no one could know his intentions. Binding other people's treasures is naturally not a big fanfare. Before that, he also specifically inquired about the system, whether binding other people's treasures would be discovered by others. The system indicated that the ability would not be discovered by anyone, whether it was a level godfather or a level godfather or above, no one would discover it. Seeing Li Shu approaching with the beam of fire, Loki, who was controlling the destroyer armor, was frightened and took a half step back, which also caused the destroyer armor to also subconsciously back half a step. The destroyer seems to be saying, "Don't come here." Thor and the others were dumbfounded when they saw this scene. The destroyer armor actually backed away in fright. When the female warrior Sif saw this, her voice trembled slightly. How is this possible? People actually scared the destroyer away. Thor's expression was dull. Are Earthlings so powerful? Jane and the others looked at it and stuttered. It's too fierce. I really want to see this guy on the internet. The one who defeated the green monster in New York. Li Shu looked at the destroyer armor that was getting closer and closer, and a trace of joy rose in his heart. Immediately. This thing is his. When the little old man Odin hangs up, this thing will belong to him completely. Just when Li Shu was about to touch the destroyer armor. Boom. In the sky, thunder bursts, and a string of lightning is galloping towards the battlefield. Amazing speed. In the blink of an eye, the whole picture was exposed to everyone's eyes. A thunderous hammer galloped through the air. For a moment, a strong sense of fetters rose in Li Shu's heart, as if something belonged to him somewhere. He looked back suddenly, and saw it in an instant, and saw the Miao hammer shrouded in lightning in the sky. That strong sense of bond came from that hammer. Li Shu opened his eyes wide, holding his breath, his eyes full of disbelief. What's the situation? Why does he have such a strong connection with Miao hammer? Obviously he hasn't gone to steal the hammer. Li Shu's face was full of question marks. Is it because he has the full awakening Thor's power in his body, and the too strong Thor's power is recognized by the Miao hammer? Doesn't it mean that people with pure hearts can do it? As if in response to Li Shu's gaze, buzz. There was a strong humming sound from the Miao hammer, like a child who was flirting with joy. Li Shu could clearly feel the joy of Miao hammer. This guy is so spiritual. Faced with the sudden attack of Miao hammer, Li Shu was not surprised at all, only unpredictable. After all, his plan was to touch the Miao hammer and leave. As a result, I didn't expect that the other party would send it directly to the door. Simply off the mark. Li Shu's eyes widened as he looked at the rampaging Miao hammer. Because this guy doesn't seem to be slowing down at all. This guy is getting carried away with joy. Seeing Miao, who flew several kilometers in an instant, Li Shu's scalp was slightly numb, and he subconsciously took a few steps back. There is only one word in my heart. Don't you King come here. Behind the Miao hammer, Iron Man is still following. Soon, he saw a group of people in front of him. That Thor, who was captured by S.H.I.E.L.D. before, was among them. But the next moment, Iron Man's pupils shrank suddenly. Because a familiar figure appeared in his sight. White Spider-Man, White Spider. Also his good brother Li Shu. In an instant, countless question marks popped out of Iron Man's head. What is this guy doing here? Does he have anything to do with this? The rest also felt the roar of the sky. All look. Suddenly saw thunder galloping, a hammer galloping. Wherever he went, the sea of clouds suddenly darkened, and lightning flashed in the sea of clouds with unimaginable power. When everyone saw these visions, they all held their breath. Hogun, the three warriors of Asgard, saw this scene, and his eyes burst with joy. Thor, it's your Thor hammer. It's back. You will be Thor again. The female warrior Sif's eyes also lit up instantly. Thor, your power is back. When Thor heard these words, his mood instantly improved, and his eyes were full of excitement and surprise. He is Thor after all. Thor's hammer will finally be back in his hands. Time has tested it all. Especially seeing the humming of the meow meow hammer, Thor was even more excited. He laughed and said, "That's the meow hammer chasing roar. Roar roar, I'm back. I'm Thor after all." He looked at Jane on the side. His voice was low and excited. "As I said, I bathed in thunder and took the Thor hammer to prove my identity to you." He looked at Jane, turned to the direction of the meow meow hammer, raised one hand, and wanted to catch the rushing meow meow hammer. Jane's eyes widened. "You are really, Ray." The words are not over yet. The meow meow hammer has already flown straight to the battlefield. It's just that he didn't fly towards Thor as everyone thought. Instead, he ran towards the man in white that appeared. Boom. With a loud noise, the man in white was taken out and smashed down a house. Smoke and dust are everywhere, rocks and debris splash. This unexpected scene made the scene instantly silent. Even the destroyer who sprayed the firebeam was quiet, and looked at the dusty house dully. When Loki in Asgard saw this incredible scene, his brain went down. When he saw Thor's hammer, he thought that his brother had regained his strength, and he was a little terrified. Result. The Thor hammer directly hit the stranger in white, stunned. Loki had some doubts about life, and murmured uncertainly, "Could it be that just now Thor's hammer was protecting me?" Thor and others also stared blankly. Asgard warrior Hogun stammered, What's the situation? Thor's hammer hit the wrong person." Sif swallowed a mouthful of saliva. "Thor's hammer has gone wrong. It won't kill people." Thor watched the smoke roll with a trace of fear on his face. "Damn, I haven't used Thor's hammer for a long time, and I don't seem to have a good grasp of its direction. It's over, I smashed an innocent passerby to death. It is absolutely impossible for me to be forgiven by my father." Speaking of this, Thor was a little lost and took a half step back. Iron Man's eyes widened when he saw that Li Shu was hit by the weird hammer, and said in horror, "I'll go, I won't hang up, Shet." Saying that, he burst out, trying to save his brother. Results the next moment. The gust of wind suddenly rose, and the tumbling dust was instantly emptied. The man in white stood among the ruins, blocking the head of Thor's hammer with one hand, and grabbed the handle with the other, and it seemed that Thor's hammer was next. It's just that the Thor hammer, which no one can pull up and shake, is now firmly held by that person. It didn't fall to the ground. Seeing this scene, everyone held Roar's breath. The stranger actually picked up Thor's hammer. The terrifying hammer that no one could pick up, the Thor's hammer that could not be shaken even with terrifying pulling force, lay in the hands of others at this moment. The corners of Iron Man's mouth twitched slightly. It is said that the Thor's hammer cannot be picked up by brute force. Isn't there anyone else who picks it up? In his opinion, Li Shu's power is extremely powerful, beyond imagination. After all, he crushed the Hulk. To be able to pick up this hammer, he can also accept it. Thor's eyes almost popped out. How can anyone hold Thor's hammer? It never occurred to him that no one other than himself and his father would be able to pick up Thor's hammer. Everyone in Asgard was stunned. Just when everyone was stunned, an even more frightening scene appeared. On Thor's hammer, a large number of arcs shot out. Next moment, the sky dimmed in an instant, and countless dark clouds gathered above the man in white, among which thunder tumbled. Seeing this familiar scene, Thor shook his head reluctantly and said, "No no no. This can't be." Thor was interrupted before he could finish speaking. Boom. The terrifying rumbling sounded like countless bombs exploded, piercing the eardrums of countless people. A large number of thunders fell down, like a splendid river hanging down from the sky, hitting Li Shu directly. Li Shu's eyes were penetrated by the power of countless thunders, turning into dazzling silver white, like two blazing white suns. On his body, endless thunder and lightning are lingering in joyful jumps. Bathing thunder. Master the lightning. This scene, as if the real Thor came. The powerful pressure swept the quartet, making everyone feel suffocated and felt a strong sense of crisis. Iron Man instantly stopped in midair, daring not to approach. Because the Jarvis has issued a wild warning. It means that the amount of thunder is too amazing and has exceeded the limit of the battlesuit. If it goes up, it may destroy the battlesuit and hurt Tony himself. Tony looked at Li Shu, who was bathing in thunder and was not damaged at all, and was completely dumbfounded. His eyes widened like bull's eyes. Didn't he pick it up with brute force? But this kid is the real Thor? Stupid people, in addition to Tony and Thor. The person who was most shocked and hit was Thor. This time, he was directly autistic, and the people who did it were suspicious of life. Tony looked at the man bathing in the thunder. His lips were shaking, his eyes were full of disbelief. "Thor, it's you. How can?" He shook his head slightly. I'm Thor's. I'm Thor's. Why is this? Obviously I got the meow hammer first. Isn't Thor me? Jane just thought that Thor was the real Thor, but she didn't expect such a scene. She looked at the person who was bathing in thunder, and then looked at Thor, who was no different from a mortal, and fell silent. So, who was the real Thor? The man she liked a little bit was the one who bathed in the light of thunder with a hammer. Thor was already hit, and seeing the hesitation in Jane's eyes, he felt his whole body crack. He hurriedly shook his head and said, "No, no, no. I am Thor. I am. Come back." He raised his hand at the meow meow hammer and shouted, "Come back, come back. My meow meow hammer. I am your master." Only the silent air answered Thor. The Thor hammer in the hands of the man in white remained motionless. This moment, Thor's mentality is exploding. The weapon that had accompanied him for a long time, suddenly he didn't listen to his control, and even ran into someone else's arms. Inside Asgard. When Loki saw the stranger incarnate as Thor, the explosion in his heart didn't need to be much less than Thor. After all, he also secretly descended to Earth before, wanting to pass Thor's hammer away and become the new Thor, but he was not recognized. As a result, a stranger who appeared out of nowhere, directly picked up the hammer and turned into Thor, making him tremble with jealousy. Loki gritted his teeth. Why? How could a stranger pick up Thor's hammer and gain Thor's power? Why? But when he thought of the opponent's attack of suppressing the destroyer with his bare hands, he shuddered slightly. Loki collapsed and said, "Damn. What the hell is this? How could such a monster suddenly appear?" At this moment, the appearance of the white spider was deeply imprinted in Loki's mind. Even if the white spider turned to ashes, he couldn't forget him. Look at the cracked Thor. Sif next to him pondered for a while, and suddenly a light of wisdom flashed in his eyes. She quickly stopped Thor's movements and said, "Thor, don't panic. Maybe Thor's hammer did not betray you." When Thor heard this, a trace of stunned expression flashed across his collapsed face. This is all going into someone else's arms. This is filling up the blue for others. This is not a betrayal? Thor's small eyes were full of big question marks. The corners of Sif's mouth cocked slightly, and he shook his fingers slightly, his eyes shining with wisdom. "Do you think who else can pick up Thor's hammer besides you?" Thor hurriedly shook his head and said, "There's no one left. No one in Asgard can hold Thor's hammer except me." Sif asked, "Is there really no one?" Thor nodded affirmatively. "Apart from me, no." Suddenly, Thor's words stopped. Because besides him, there is indeed one of Asgard who can pick up Thor's hammer. Thinking of this, Thor's pupils shrank. Sif looked at Thor, nodded slightly, and showed a smile in control of everything. "Yes, there is another person, that is your father, the king of Odin." Thor looked at the white spider who was bathing in the thunder, and suddenly stuttered. You mean, the person who picked up Thor's hammer is actually my father?" Sif chuckled. "What do you think? Who do you think might come to save you now? Who has the ability to save you?" "Yes, in this desperate situation, only our Lord Odin has the ability to save you. Think about it carefully. Does your father really have the heart to see you die on Earth? You are his own son. All this is your father who is tempering you. How does he watch you really die? So seeing that you are really going to die, Lord Odin takes action." Hearing this, everyone suddenly felt a sense of enlightenment in their hearts. The eyes that looked at Sif also had a little more admiration, and they felt that Sif at the moment exuded the light of wisdom. It was as if the other party, like the original Odin, drank the Mimir spring water in exchange for wisdom. Everyone clucked their tongues. No one thought that this female warrior would be so wise. Hogun, the three warriors of Asgard, took a breath. "I didn't expect. Sif, you are so smart. After all, we underestimated you." Fandral, one of the other three warriors, couldn't help but applaud. "We have been fighting together for thousands of years, and the first thing I found out is that you can still be the goddess of wisdom, both inside and outside." Hearing the words of several people, the corner of Sif's mouth twitched, showing a smug smile, and snorted. That way, as if the tail is about to go up to the sky. Thor looked at the man holding Thor's hammer, and hesitantly murmured, "Father? Father? Is the other party really his father?" Sif is right. In other words, the other party is actually his father, Odin. Thor's heart rose a little moved. His father loves him after all. Seeing him suffer so much, his heart was finally unbearable, so he tried to save him. After all, they are blood relatives. Blood is thicker than water. Thor's body trembled slightly. It was because he was moved. At this time, Jane on the side sent out the torture of her soul. Then. Why does the other party wear a mask instead of showing his true face? Heard here. Sif was stunned for a moment. Yes, why don't you show your true face? People around. Sif's brain turned rapidly. Immediately, his eyes lit up, and then the light of wisdom flowed out again. The corners of Sif's mouth cocked proudly. You don't understand. Lord Odin can deprive Thor of his power in front of everyone, and throw him from the mortal world, just to sharpen the opponent. This tempering is for Thor. He must not be able to directly intervene in the old man, otherwise he will save face. If he reaches out to rescue Thor in an open and honest way, wouldn't this be a slap in the face of himself? As a generation of god kings, it is naturally impossible to slap the face in public, otherwise what prestige will govern the gods in the future? So he could only sneak out to help Thor clear the siege. Sif looked at the crowd, his eyes filled with the light of wisdom that crushed everyone. Shi Jiju said, "So, we can't reveal the identity of the King of God, we can't see anything, and we will accompany him to play. He will only have two options next, one is to solve the destroyer himself, and the second is to return the hammer to Thor and let Thor fight by himself. I think the first one is unlikely, after all, this is for Thor's tempering, he can't directly sharpen and erase it himself, after all, without tempering, Thor can't justifiably return to Asgard. After all, other people will definitely recall that after going around the world and coming back, what kind of tempering is this? This is very unfavorable for Thor has become the king of gods. So I guess Lord Odin will definitely choose the second one and find an excuse to give Thor the hammer and let Thor solve the battle himself." What Sif said was straightforward, and everyone present felt enlightened and realized. Sif looked at Thor and sighed. Master Odin really loves you, and for you, he would even end up doing so many twists and turns. If it wasn't for my agility, I wouldn't necessarily see it come out. The rest nodded approvingly. Hogun nodded solemnly. Indeed, if it weren't for Sif to see it, we would all really be kept in the dark. Thor listened, and his heart became more and more moved. Looking at his father, he decided that he must be more ambitious in the future, and he must not be so naive and immature. Jane next to him was slightly stunned after listening to the words of a few people. She asked weakly, "Maybe you don't say it. Everyone will not know that it is Thor's father, wouldn't it be better to keep it secret? After all, one more person means one more leaked copy. Danger." Sif was stunned. It's like a medium. But then she coughed. Mainly. I see Thor as too sad, I can't bear it. So I think I should tell him the truth. Jane listened and clucked her forehead. Okay. Although the other party said the truth, Jane always felt strange. Now. The eye-catching Li Shu, standing in the thunder, absorbed the mighty and vast power of the thunder. The majestic thunder force drawn by the Meow Meow hammer was like a flood pouring into Li Shu's body and absorbed by every cell. The power of thunder in the cells is soaring and filling. Every cell sent out a pleasant feeling, as if it was not wrapped by thunder, but wrapped in warm water, and it seemed as if countless soft little hands were massaging. Li Shu felt so comfortable that he wanted to touch his toes. Li Shu never thought that the Meow Meow hammer would bring him such benefits. Soon. All the power of thunder that was drawn was completely absorbed by Li Shu. He is still a little unfinished, but soon he found that the eyes of the people around him seemed to be very wrong. But yes, after all, he picked up Thor's hammer, which was a very terrifying thing. It's normal for these people to have misaligned eyes. Thor, in particular, seems to have the most intense emotions, and there is even a little tear in his eyes. Li Shu shook his head slightly. This guy can't stand the blow too, isn't he just taking a hammer? As for the loss of control, tears will flow out. Li Shu sighed inwardly, this Thor still lacks exercise and is too fragile. But he can't get the hammer in his hand yet, after all. Odin is not dead yet, he just entered the normal sleep of Odin. The so-called Odin sleep means that Odin makes the body function sleep in order to prolong the final lifespan, so that the consumption is greatly reduced, so as to achieve the effect of prolonging the lifespan. After all, the sun has not yet become a device, if this time is dead. Then Asgard would be messed up. Because Meow Meow hammer originally recognized him, it was extremely easy for him to bind. After binding, he gave Meow Meow hammer an order to let the other party follow Thor temporarily. Meow Meow hammer hummed slightly in protest. However, Li Shu said that it was an expedient measure and had no choice but to accept Li Shu's orders in the end. Immediately, the Meow Meow hammer shook violently in Li Shu's hands. Li Shu pretended to want to hold the Meow Meow hammer. Damn it. This guy doesn't seem to recognize me and wants to get out. Does it still recognize me, but someone else? Damn it. Sif and others' expressions were slightly stagnant. Although they knew that Odin would definitely return the hammer, they just didn't expect the other party to return the hammer so perfunctory, and the acting was a bit irritating. Could you be a little more professional? Sif et al. Have black lines on their heads. Subsequently, The Meow Meow hammer broke free from Li Shu's hand, soared into the sky, rushed into the sky, and then rushed towards Thor. Thor's eyes light up. Dad loves him after all. See here. Sif raised his eyebrows at the crowd with a hint of pride in his eyes. The rest all smiled knowingly. Thor is excited. The Meow Meow hammer stumbled, and finally returned to his hands. He is the destined Thor. He is the master of thunder, Thor, the glory of the North God. He took a deep look at the white spider and said something sincerely in his heart. Thank you, my father. Li Shu naturally also saw Thor's deep and emotional eyes. It was just this look that instantly stunned him. Is this the case? Don't you just give Thor's hammer back? Do the two have such deep feelings for each other? People who don't know it look at it and think he is Thor's father. Li Shu pouted. This kid is really not good, his mood swings too much. Then he ran towards the destroyer. After all, it is necessary to bind this guy. The other side. Black Braised Egg and Hawkeye also rushed to the scene and witnessed the scene of White Spider picking up Thor's hammer and bathing in thunder. The two of them sat in the car, dumbfounded. Hey Lu, Dan said stunned. This. How did this guy run from New York to New Mexico? And he was holding that hammer, right? Why can he pick up this hammer and understand that we can't pull it with countless carts? Also, why does he seem to have no problems at all after being struck by such lightning? Could this guy be the legendary Thor? Hawkeye took a breath. It was really unimaginable for him to be able to survive such a terrifying and massive amount of thunder and lightning without turning into coke. Hawkeye's mouth twitched a few times. So, this guy is the real Thor. Seeing Thor's hammer break away from the white spider again, it flew towards Thor. This scene blinded them for a moment. The black marinated egg scratched his scalp, and said a little uncomfortable, Mom messed up with fake hair, so who is Thor? Immediately, he shook his head and cleared his mind. No, I finally found this horrible guy. I have to invite him into S.H.I.E.L.D. or Avengers Alliance. After speaking, he opened the car door, but was stopped by Hawkeye. It's too dangerous ahead, just wait. The black marinated egg looked at the town in front of it that had become a battlefield, and it was a mess. In the end, he obeyed Hawkeye's words and did not rush over. Black Braised Egg looked at White Spider and murmured. This is definitely one of the most powerful people I have ever met. Maybe he might be able to compete with that guy from Walter Company. Saw the white spider rushing towards the destroyer. Loki's scalp went numb. Damn it. What does this guy want to do? He quickly controlled the destroyer and broke out the strongest fire beam attack, trying to solve the opponent. Boom. A fiery beam of fire slammed into Li Shu. Seeing this, Li Shu raised his hand to block the attack. And the next moment, it came to the side of the destroyer. He covered the gap where the fire beam was fired with one hand, and touched the cold and hard shell of the destroyer with the other. Loki saw that the flamethrower was blocked directly by the opposite side, and his whole mentality was a little broken. After all, the strongest attack method was blocked. Seeing this, he used the destroyer's hand to attack the opponent. After all, the power of the destroyer is also extremely powerful. Result. The destroyer hit the opponent, and the opponent didn't blink at all, as if it was tickling. Seeing this, Loki's whole mentality exploded. Damn it. What the hell is this monster? Well, with this guy's help, I can't stop Thor from returning to Asgard. Damn it. Why did such a change happen? Obviously everything was in my plan. For the first time in the face of this invincible guy, Loki felt a sense of collapse and even despair. Just when Loki was in despair, the other party let go of the destroyer and murmured. It turned out to be a piece of iron, and it seems that there is nothing to look at. Alright, let's play, I'll go first. Done. Boom. Strong impact, the ground cracked. The other party rose from the ground and shot towards the sky with an amazing speed, and soon disappeared from the sight of everyone. Really, he came softly and walked softly, he didn't take a cloud with him. The other side's magical operation made Loki sluggish. He did not expect that the other party appeared in a strange way, and then disappeared in an inexplicable way. The destroyer raised his head slightly and looked at the place where the other party disappeared. There seemed to be countless question marks written on his empty face. The disappearance of the stranger instantly brought hope to Loki again. He grinned suddenly, happy like a 300-pound child. It seems that I, Loki, are the one who is destined, and I am the destined king of Asgard. Time to get on with Thor now. Thinking of this, he directed the destroyer to continue to attack Thor and others. The result is at this time. Loki saw the Thor hammer fly quickly towards Thor's hand. Seeing this, Loki felt a tinge of unease in his heart. No way, is his idiot brother going to regain his strength? Loki's eyes were splitting, and he drank. Attack. A fiery beam of fire erupted, charging towards Thor's hammer. But the fire beam is a bit slower after all. Thor took a step forward, his eyes were firm, and he grasped Thor's hammer. His father's love, he took it. Next moment. On Thor's hammer, the arc burst, like a flower bud blooming. Arcs of electricity flashed across Thor. Instantly stimulated the power of Thor in his body. His eyes burst into wisps of intense arcs. Boom. A bolt from the blue. Once again, a loud roar sounded. Although not as loud and violent as before, it was also extremely deafening. A beam of extremely thick thunder struck Thor. For a moment, a strong arc burst from Thor's body, cracking the ground. Thor, are back. A low voice sounded. The sharp eyes showed. Thor swung the Thor hammer in his hand. Tossed to the beam of fire. Thor's hammer went against the beam of fire and slammed into the destroyer. Clang. Sparks fly. Boom. Hit the destroyer directly. Hit the ground hard. Loki watched the destroyer being knocked into the air, and Thor with Thor's hammer, his whole mentality completely exploded. The stranger in front messed with his mentality, and finally the other party left, but Thor regained his strength. Seeing this, Loki's eyes were slightly bloodshot. I seriously injured Thor, so he can't go back to Asgard. The destroyer obeyed Loki's orders, firing beams of fiery fire at Thor. Thor waved his hand, and the Meow Meow hammer immediately returned to his hand. He burst out, blasting all the blazing fire beams into the air. Boom boom boom. Fire beams shoot elsewhere. Big holes were smashed into the ground. A house was directly eroded into a large hole, and there was lava flowing along the edge of the hole. There was even a blazing fire beam that flew past the black marinated egg's car and smashed into the place, and a fiery big hole appeared. Seeing this scene, Black Braised Egg and Hawkeye swallowed a mouthful of saliva. The corners of the black braised egg twitched a few times. Mom, fake, is this guy a reckless man? I don't know how to be careful. He looked at the hot and flowing hole next to him, and his back was slightly cold. A slight deviation of 1 or 2 meters, others are gone. The black marinated egg frowned again with sorrow. Mom messed with fake, the white spider ran away again. Every time I can't catch a single hair. Hawkeye reminded. Isn't there another one in front of him? He is also very strong and can be pulled into the Avengers Alliance. Black Braised Egg looked at the guy in front of him and sighed slightly. In fact, he likes the white spider more, because the white spider looks more powerful. Thor's eyes were cold. He is ready to deal with each other in one go. He swings Thor's hammer. In the end, it was thrown to the sky. Call out. He rose from the ground and went to the sky. Then started to zoom in. He swung Thor's hammer in the air as if the rotors of a helicopter were circling. Power is stored in the hands. The surrounding sky began to change, it began to gloom, and thunder flashed. The strong wind made the ground spin. Directly brought the destroyer to the sky. In the end, Thor launched a charge attack and charged at the destroyer with a hammer. Boom. Huge amounts of explosions rang out. The destroyer scattered into pieces, splashing in all directions. Most disappeared out of thin air, and a small part fell to the ground. Inside Asgard. Loki watched this scene, completely stunned. Failed. Crisis lifted. Thor fell to the ground and walked towards his companion with a big smile on his face. In the sky that is unwilling to leave the town. The invisible Li Shu stood there. After he flew out, he returned through stealth. He actually just wanted to see if the destroyer would really be destroyed. Finally, in his sight, Thor did destroy the destroyer, but not completely. Most of the destroyer is made of uru metal, but some parts of the surface are covered with other metals. Eventually Thor's power destroys these other metals. As for the ulu metal, it is automatically scattered and has not been damaged. Moreover, these ulu metal parts disappeared instantly, and Li Shu felt a little space fluctuation. It seems that some space magic has been deployed on those Ulugen genus, and when the conditions are triggered, they will automatically return to a certain place. It seems that this is what the old man Odin left behind. Afterwards, he felt that those ulu metals were reorganized and returned to their original state. He immediately looked through the destroyer's line of sight. The destroyer has returned to Odin's treasury, sealed away. At the same time, catch the sight of the destroyer. He saw what the inside of Odin's treasury looked like. He saw treasures like the ball of Agamotto, the mysterious steel, the eye of the warlock, and more. Li Shu's heart burst into flames when he saw it. I can't wait to put all these treasures in my pocket. After all, no one thinks there are too many babies. Baby this thing, the more the better, isn't it? Just like money. But Li Shu understands that he can't get these things now. Only when old Odin is dead will he be able to get it. Thinking of this, Li Shu took a slight breath and lifted the destroyer's sight. On the ground. Meow Meow Hammer felt that Li Shu was back, and was still observing from a distance, thinking that the other party was coming back to see it. It buzzed with joy immediately, calling Li Shu roar. Seeing this, Li Shu raised his forehead slightly. Immediately conveyed to the other party, "Stay well, I will take it away when I find a chance later." Meow Meow Hammer showed grievances, but finally settled down. I saw the hammer in my hand buzzing again. Thor laughed loudly. It seems that Meow Meow Hammer is very happy about my return, ha ha ha. Sif smiled and said, "That's definitely, after all, I finally saw the master again, and I am naturally very happy." Hogan said, "Congratulations, your divine power is back, and you have been recognized by your father again." Thor laughed, feeling very comfortable. Immediately, he looked at the place where Li Shu disappeared. He said silently in his heart, "Father, I will not fail your love, I will try my best to become a better Thor." Li Shu, who was galloping in the sky, sneezed and emptied a large sea of clouds. "Hey! Look, the sea of clouds over there has disappeared suddenly." Sif's eyes were sharp, seeing a sea of clouds in the distance inexplicably emptied, and shouted. Sif looked at the sky. "Good guy, who did this, to clear such a large sea of clouds?" She looked at Thor. "It can't be your father, he didn't actually leave just now, he's still watching you." Hearing this, Thor felt a warm feeling in his heart, and the corners of his mouth twitched slightly. He waved his hammer. "Okay, it's time for us to go back to Asgard too." The rest all nodded. Thor looked at Jane affectionately again. "I'll be back, wait for me." Jane nodded slightly. Inside a mountain in New Mexico. Hides a base. Inside 2 adjacent rooms. They were a girl and a boy, who looked 17 or 18. The girl has a beautiful face, as incomparably beautiful, has a perfect body, is fat and thin, looks very beautiful, and is a rare beauty. The young man has platinum hair and a handsome face. The young man was flying around in the room, only the afterimage could be seen, and the speed was astonishing. And the girl squatted on the bed, turning her hands slightly. Crimson energy flowed out. Let the blanket in front of him float slightly. These two are the Wanda siblings. Quicksilver flew around the room, ran for a while, then got a little tired, and he finally sat down on the bed. There is only a wall between Wanda. Quicksilver lowered his head slightly, with an uncomfortable expression on his face. "Sister, do you think we can leave here? Are we going to stay here for the rest of our lives and become others' guinea pigs?" Quicksilver trembled slightly. "We are so young." The sound swept across the wall and into Wanda's ears. Hearing Quicksilver's words, Wanda's face also showed a trace of sadness. She didn't know how long she would stay here. Maybe they will stay until the moment of death. Their youth will be spent in this small prison, dark, accompanied only by despair. Thinking of this, Wanda's body trembled a few times. But she took a deep breath, then squeezed out a smile, and comforted her brother in a less sad voice. "Maybe someone will come to save us. Or, they finished researching us quickly and let us go." Quicksilver hugged his knees. "Will someone really come to rescue us? The people outside are fully armed, even special forces, super soldiers, and various high-tech weapons. Can someone really rescue us from this?" Speaking of which, Quicksilver buried his head even lower. Listening to Quicksilver's words, Wanda's eyes suddenly dimmed, and there was a mist. Wanda is a young girl, and she doesn't have a strong heart. Faced with a desperate situation, her heart is also full of despair. But as a sister, she couldn't let her brother be completely wrapped in despair. Wanda blinked her foggy eyes and raised her head slightly, trying not to let emotions flow out of her eyes. She took a deep breath, showed a smile, her voice was soft and gentle, but with a hint of determination. "Don't worry, Pietro, we will go out. Even if no one comes to rescue us, when I become stronger, I will take you out." Wanda looked at the ceiling with blurry vision. "After I take you out, we can do what we want. We can enjoy the warm sunshine, go to Roar to absorb the fragrance of flowers, and tread water in the river. At that time, I will save money to buy a house, then buy a small vegetable garden, and then marry someone I like and have 1 or 2 children. At that time, you will be their uncle, and you will have more family members. When the time comes, you can come to my house and tease them. I believe they will like you very much and be very close to you. At that time, you can go to college, you will meet more friends in college, and you will do what you want to do together. For example, go to sing together, travel together, stay up all night playing games together, sing and laugh together." A gentle smile appeared on Wanda's face. "Pietro, don't worry, we will definitely go out, we will enjoy our life, we will come into contact with more new things and experience more beauty. You will definitely have a girlfriend, you will fight, you will be sweet, you will walk in the park together, you will go to the amusement park together, you will lie on the grass and watch the stars together. By then, you will be very happy. And I will be very happy then. Speaking of this, Wanda's misty eyes flashed with longing, and the smile on his face became more real. Because I will definitely meet someone who is very gentle and likes me very much. He will tolerate my little willfulness, take care of my emotions, and buy me a lot of delicious food. Even if I get tired of him, he will not dislike me. At that time, I will cook all kinds of delicious food for him every day. After dinner, he would take me for a walk, and we would walk slowly on the road, thinking about nothing, just walking, holding each other's hands, and enjoying the quiet time. Then, we walked and walked, we came to the White Head. Although we were trembling at that time, we still liked each other. We would go on walking, and at last we slept peacefully together forever, and slept together forever. Having said this, Wanda smiled, but 2 lines of tears fell from the corners of his eyes. The better Wanda thought about it, the more desolate she felt of despair. She wasn't talking anymore, and she buried herself in her knees. Then silently sobbed. She hugged her knees tightly, crying cautiously, not daring to make any sound. She didn't want her brother to know that she was crying. What is despair? That is, you clearly feel that everything you love will never happen again. You will be imprisoned in a dark place for life. With you, only a long time like a knife. Every minute, every second, cuts on your body. The younger brother sat on the other side of the wall, listening to the description and comfort of the elder sister, and felt a little better. He showed a smile. Thank you, sister. I also think we can go out. Even if no one rescues us, when we become stronger, we can go out on our own. At that time, if you have a baby, I will borrow it to play, and I will pay you back if you cry, hee. At that time, you can't scold me and beat me, sister. Listening to her brother's words, Wanda shed more tears. Maybe, she has found the person she likes all her life. Perhaps, her generation will not have the youthful time that ordinary people have. She might die here, she might grow old here. Maybe she will go out when she is old, but at that time, her youth is gone. But when she heard her brother's question, she quickly stopped crying. I adjusted my mood a little and cleared my throat. Deliberately said in a more annoyed voice, then I will definitely clean up you and let you bully your nephew and niece. The younger brother smiled and stopped talking. Wanda was also silent, just sitting quietly in the same place, staring blankly at the wall. On the eyelashes, there are still some tears, and the tears are still falling on the face, and the pear flowers are raining, which is very distressing. Just at this time, boom boom boom, the entire base shook violently. The 2 rooms of Wanda and Quicksilver also shook violently. The 2 were rocking on the bed. Quicksilver grabbed the bed. Sister, what happened? Wanda also hurriedly grabbed her bed, her voice soft. I don't know. Just at this time, outside the door, the red warning light began to flash frantically. The rapid alarm sounded throughout the base. Quicksilver said, it really happened, sister. The alarm sounded so urgently and loudly, it seemed that something major happened. Wanda wiped away her tears and looked at the warning light outside. It seems that something happened. At this moment, the sound of loud machine guns rang out. Da da da. The gunshots were deafening. Countless noises rang out outside. Kill him. Kill him. Machine gun him. Punch him into a hole. This goddamn guy broke into our Hydra base, looking for death. Kill him with a laser. A murderous voice sounded outside. Da da da. Intense gunshots rang out. But soon those murderous voices turned into terrifying voices. Why? Why is the machine gun useless? No, don't kill. Why can't the laser pierce his body? How can it be? Damn it. Damn it. Bomb it. Blast him to pieces. Damn, he's so fast. Ah. Stop him. Stop him. Close the steel door. Close the steel door. Never let them in. Boom. A loud rumbling sound. Something slammed open like a savage beast. Pung. A low, loud voice sounded. The thing hit the ground hard. The base seemed to shake a few times. Quicksilver listened to the voice outside, and his eyes lit up. Sister. It seems that someone broke in. And the battle seems to be fierce, we may be saved. Wanda Roar's inhalation was also slightly hurried, and her yearning for freedom was also extremely violent. But soon, all voices fell silent. There were no more violent battles, as if the invading enemy had been wiped out. Heard here. The light of hope in Quicksilver's eyes dimmed. After Wanda didn't hear any sound, her body trembled slightly. She was so afraid that she had hope, and she gave despair in an instant. Just when Wanda was shaking. Boom. Her gate was violently ripped open and blown away. A man in white appeared, standing like a god, and stretched out a hand to her, with a gentle voice. I'm here. In the Hydra base, most of the Hydra were slaughtered by Li Shu. Baron Strucker was catching up from the ground with a group of super soldiers, running towards where Li Shu was. These super warriors have high-end weapons in their hands, sharp super alloy daggers, war knives, or heavy thermal weapons. Baron Strucker clenched his fists, his eyes were full of cold blood and blood. Damn white spider, actually broke into my Hydra base and killed so many people. I have to kill you here today. I really thought that I was invincible, and after defeating a mutant green monster, I would be the only one in the world. What a joke. Lao Su's Hydra has countless ways to kill people. It's not easy to kill your damn mutant. There was a flicker of violence in Baron Strucker's eyes. What's more, he has his own trump card. That's his death, spore virus. Capable of killing any animal in an instant, he has yet to meet anyone who can survive his dead spore virus. Baron Strucker grinned in a bloody grin. When he catches this white spider, he will study the other party carefully, and even brainwash the other party into an enhanced version of the super soldier for his use. The sound of rapid running sounded in the corridor of the base. Quickly ran towards where Li Shu was. When one is trapped in a dark place with no hope. If someone rips a hole from the outside, let the light in. Then this person will make an indelible impression on the people of the dark lands. If this person shreds the land of darkness, he will pull the trapped person out of the darkness. Then this person will become a beam of light in the heart of the trapped person, or in other words, the light. He is the savior of the whole world for those who are trapped. Wanda is just that. When she saw the other party tear open the iron door and stretch out a hand, Wanda only felt full of security, and her desperate mood burst into a strong light. Chicken Wanda nodded at the rice, got up quickly, and held the other's hand. At this time, the other party extended another hand to her. Seeing this, Wanda trembled, like a scared little white rabbit, but she didn't dare to move. After all, the other party was someone who broke into the Longton Tiger's den and was still unscathed, so powerful that she was beyond her imagination. She didn't know what the other party was going to do, so she was a little scared. Li Shu looked at the tears on Wanda's face and sighed slightly. At the moment Wanda was only 18 years old. Both parents died a few years ago, and then he began to rely on his younger brother. They were caught by Hydra some time ago. Definitely they don't know who they were caught by. This experiment was not voluntary, not the mind gem experiment a few years later. However, after the explosion when they were 10 years old, Quicksilver and Wanda both began to show their ability, but they were not guided by mind gem, and they were not so powerful, but they were still noticed by Hydra. Li Shu can only say that Wanda's life is really miserable. But now that he appeared, everything would be different. Li Shu said gently, "Don't be afraid, I will never hurt you. I'm just helping you dry the tears from your face." Hearing the other party's gentle words, Wanda unconsciously breathed a sigh of relief. After the other party finished speaking, the battlesuit on her hand disappeared, and a slender and beautiful hand was revealed, helping her to gently wipe the tears on her face, even the few teardrops hanging on her eyelashes. Lei Kai took half a step. Wanda almost tensed the nerves all over his body, and lowered his eyelids slightly, but his eyelashes were constantly trembling, as if to explain the tension of the owner of the body. Li Shu could even feel each other's warm breath. Looking at Wanda, who was extremely nervous, Li Shu chuckled, wiped away tears, and said, "It's okay, don't be nervous." When Li Shu's hand brushed lightly on Wanda's face, Wanda's body trembled slightly, and two red glows flew on her delicate and smooth face, and a strange feeling rose in her heart. This is the first time Wanda has such intimate contact with the opposite sex. In addition, the serious attitude of the other party made Wanda feel more favorable. For the first time, Wanda felt that someone took her so seriously. Although Wanda could not see each other's face, at this moment, Wanda's heart beat more frequently. Wanda secretly looked at the other person's serious eyes, which were dark and deep, and looked very good looking to Wanda, even with a hint of magic. Just at this time, dong dong dong, there was a sound of rapid footsteps. One by one, burly people filed into the hall from the outside, each with a powerful hot weapon, or a powerful cold weapon such as a super alloy dagger. The leader is Baron Strucker, one of Hydra's top executives. He looked at Li Shu, his eyes were extremely cold and stern. "White Spider, I didn't expect that you would find us here. You also killed a subordinate like me. Do you really think you are invincible? There are many ways to kill you in this world. We at Hydra, as the most powerful organization in the world, have a way of killing you." Seeing the fully armed man rushing in, Wanda immediately became nervous and frightened, and subconsciously wanted to raise her hands. Li Shu carefully wiped the tears from Wanda's face, and said softly, "No, it's alright. No way, after all, Hydra is really not enough for Li Shu's current strength." It didn't bother him at all. The ants don't even have the ability to hurt a single hair of the people around him. Listening to Li Shu's words, Wanda only felt extra safe, and her heart subconsciously calmed down. She nodded slightly obediently, and made a soft nasal voice, "Well." At the moment Wanda is like an obedient kitten. Quicksilver next to him stood in the doorway and had a panoramic view of everything. He could almost see what happened. When he started, he also wanted the other party to save him. But as a discerning person, he felt that he should stabilize his hand first and not disturb the other party and his sister. Because he can feel a different atmosphere. If he suddenly interrupted, it would interrupt the atmosphere. Moreover, as a younger brother, he can feel the strangeness of his sister, so he is more knowledgeable and will not speak. Although he didn't speak, Quicksilver couldn't help but pouted, feeling like he was inexplicably turned into a light bulb. And still no one pays attention, only the kind of light bulb that is embarrassing. Just as Quicksilver pouted, a group of people rushed in, all kinds of weapons aimed at his sister. This made Quicksilver instantly lift his heart to his throat. He was just about to let his sister and the man in white flee quickly. As a result, after hearing Li Shu's speech, the whole person was stunned. This man is too calm. In the face of so many weapons, he was so calm. Although he vaguely guessed that Li Shu was very, very strong, otherwise, he would not have been able to enter the dragon pool alone and still be unscathed. But also inexplicably worried, he finally asked weakly, "Really? I really don't need to worry. Then, when the other party launches an attack, they can also protect me. Although my sister is very important, I am also a living life." Hearing Quicksilver's words, Li Shu couldn't help laughing. Wanda glared at his brother after listening to what his brother said. When Baron Strucker saw that Li Shu ignored him completely, his whole body was instantly blown up. As one of the most dangerous and powerful people in the world, no one has ever dared to ignore him like that. He allows others to hate and curse him, but he never allows others to ignore him. Baron Strucker gritted his teeth. "Looks like I'll have to show you some color." After speaking, he waved. Bang, bang, bang. Heavy bombs rushed towards Li Shu. Seeing this, Quicksilver opened his eyes wide, and a trace of fear flashed in his heart. If these missiles really flew over, they would explode. His iron gate would definitely not be able to withstand it, and he would definitely not be able to withstand this explosion. It's definitely over. Although he knew that Li Shu was strong and could even resist bombs, he and her sister were flesh and blood. With so many bombs, since Li Shu wanted to block them with his body, there was a high probability that they would not be able to stop them all. If this happens, thought here, the Quicksilver mentality is a bit cracked. Li Shu waved his hand. A lot of hands and heads stretched out from his body, as if 3 heads and 6 arms. Next moment, they flew out and turned into brand new white spiders. Duplication, the shape of Akon. See here. Quicksilver and Wanda both widened their eyes. What kind of means is this? It's too miraculous. The duplications waved their hands. A series of portals appeared, intercepting these heavy bombs. On the other side of the portal, it appeared on Hydra's side, aiming at Hydra's people. Shesh. Cannonballs rushed into the portal, then rushed out from the other side, towards Hydra. See this scene. Everyone at Hydra opened their eyes wide. Baron Strucker gritted his teeth. Damn. Dodge. Boom boom boom. One after another explosion sounded. It is also fortunate that the structure of this base is an extremely hard super alloy, otherwise, these explosions will directly collapse. The base shook violently a few times. The explosion is over. Li Shu wiped away the tears from Wanda's face, and said with a smile, "This is so beautiful and beautiful." Hearing Li Shu's praise, a red glow appeared on Wanda's face again. Seeing Li Shu's method, Quicksilver took a deep breath and felt his blood boil at the same time. So King cool, this works. Li Shu's strength is beyond his imagination, too fierce. He quickly looked at his new idol. As a result, I saw that the calm atmosphere on my sister's side formed a sharp contrast with the explosion on the other side. Quicksilver. Is this the real powerhouse? Pleasure without fear. At this moment, Quicksilver admired Li Shu a little more. He suddenly felt that his sister and Li Shu seemed to be a good match, and the atmosphere when the two met for the first time was extraordinarily harmonious. He could feel that both of them seemed a little interesting. So, brother-in-law, can you let me out first? It's not a problem that I have been locked in here. Li Shu. Wanda. This operation of Quicksilver is beyond the imagination of the two. Wanda blushed and glared at Quicksilver. Li Shu coughed. The child's mouth is sweet, and it is a reward. He then released the crimson chains. Boom. The door was opened violently. This mighty brute force. Let Wanda and Quicksilver be slightly sluggish. The heavy iron door was easily torn open, and this scene really shocked the eye. Quicksilver swallowed directly. He hurriedly came out and grinned. Thank you, brother. He gave a thumbs up. I can see, brother, you are a powerful magician. No wonder you came in without taking any damage. Hey, your magic is so powerful that these attacks can't get into you at all. Li Shu's mouth twitched. It's not that the attacks didn't get into him, it's just that these attacks didn't cause any damage to his body. Magic has never been his primary means of combat. After all, he's just a mana that is a little stretched. When he came in, he walked away with bullets and cannonballs in his head, and he didn't use any magic at all. The people of Hydra have just been bombarded. Most are immortal and crippled, lying in place, moaning. But no one was injured. Baron Strucker is one of them. He dodged the bomb, and his original body was also very hard and indestructible. However, he was also quite embarrassed. His face was blackened, his clothes were damaged, and there was a trace of blood on the corner of his mouth. He stared at Li Shu. Damn, I must kill you. He gave the order to the other super soldiers. Kill him with super alloy weapons. Several super soldiers took on extremely sharp super alloy weapons, which, in the opinion of Baron S. Track, should be able to hurt each other. But Baron Strucker didn't pin all his hopes on the super soldier. He is also gathering strength. The remaining few super soldiers, in order to avoid bombs, hid behind various heavy instruments. Although the bomb didn't hit a few people, it smashed the instrument over and pinned a few people under him. However, these heavy instruments also successfully blocked all attacks for several people. Now that there is no explosion, several super soldiers used their powerful force to push the incomparably heavy steel instrument away from their bodies. Boom boom boom. The incomparably heavy steel instrument smashed to the ground. The whole lab shook a few times again. Seeing this scene, Quicksilver and Wanda both took a slight breath. The power of these super warriors is too powerful. Quicksilver's mouth twitched. Are these guys still human? This physical strength is amazing. Several super fighters who got up, picked up the super alloy weapons on the ground, and rushed towards Li Shu, their eyes cold and emotionless. Quicksilver looked at the fast-paced super soldiers and swallowed. Brother, can you solve these monsters? But Quicksilver raised a little bit of anticipation in his heart. I don't know what magic this brother will use to solve these guys. Li Shu just smiled and didn't speak. The duplications moved. Shesh. As if teleporting to the side, they appeared in front of the super soldiers. High speed. Let these super fighters be stunned. They haven't had time to act yet. The parting hand sticks out like lightning. He directly squeezed their necks and lifted them up like chickens. Seeing this, Quicksilver froze for a moment. Faster than. Brother-in-law, you are going too far. Magician is doing well, come and grab a bowl of rice with me. Quicksilver was blinded. He thought Li Shu would unleash magic. As a result, I didn't expect to go straight up. And this speed is outrageous, and the power is somewhat outrageous, and it is easy to lift the super soldier. But Quicksilver suddenly doesn't feel outrageous. After all, as we all know, isn't magician used for melee combat? A magician who can't play warrior style is not a good magician. Wanda next to him was also shocked by Li Shu duplication's speed and opened his mouth slightly. But when I heard Quicksilver's words, I immediately moved. Snapped. Quicksilver, ouch. Wanda angrily gave Quicksilver a head, and her watery eyes stared like goldfish eyes. There is no gatekeeper in the mouth all day. Quicksilver was immediately beaten to attention, well behaved. At this moment, the two super soldiers picked up the super alloy daggers in their hands and stabbed Li Shu. Call out. High speed. See here. Quicksilver said quickly. Brother, be careful with duplication. Baron Strucker looked at it, a glimmer of anticipation flashing in his eyes. Clang. The super alloy dagger was really powerful. It broke Li Shu's battlesuit and stabbed Li Shu's body. Then, no more. That super alloy couldn't go any further. Li Shu's body was actually stronger than the super alloy, and this scene made everyone present twitch. Duplication just shook his head slightly, and immediately broke the necks of several super warriors with a strong hand. It seems that the broken ground is not the neck of a super soldier, but the neck of a small animal. Quicksilver's mouth twitched. It's a bit too much to complete the magician as a warrior that is not bad. On the scene, Baron Strucker was left. Call out. A duplication rushed up and stood in front of the other party. Seeing a duplication coming up, Baron Strucker showed a grim smile. You dare to approach me, you are finished. After speaking, he released the death spore virus. Invisible virus rushed to duplication. Baron Strucker looked at Li Shu and said, "Today, all of you have to die here. I will release the virus and poison all of you." Before he could finish speaking, he was interrupted. It was directly mentioned by duplication. The duplication next to him snapped his fingers. In an instant, the whole world expanded. Baron Strucker followed 2 duplications into the mirror world. Li Shu can also see the mirror world. In front of them is a mirror composed of many pieces of glass, and in the mirror is Baron Strucker. The Baron struggled hard and said incredulously, "Why? Why did you not die from my death spore virus?" Duplication sighed. "I know you are invulnerable to all kinds of poisons, and I am also invulnerable to all kinds of poisons." After speaking, the ring in his hand gleamed faintly. Boom. Incomparably blazing flames burned from the hands, directly turning the opponent into ashes. The virus also turned to ashes along with it. After doing this, a click, mirror glass shattered. Then one duplication came back to Li Shu. After doing this, Li Shu said, "The Hydra in the entire base has been cleaned up, let's get out of here." Wanda and Quicksilver were a little excited when they heard this, and nodded quickly. Finally able to get out of here, the two were instantly excited. After all, since they came in, what they want to do most is to get out of this cage. Li Shu flicked his hand, and a golden portal appeared. Li Shu stepped into it immediately. Wanda followed Quicksilver into it. Then the golden portal disappeared, and inside the control room, above a button that controls all the gates, a small portal appears. Li Shu's hand reached in and pressed all the buttons. Immediately, the innocent people detained in the entire base were released. They rushed out of the base and ran towards the nearest human gathering point. Wanda and Quicksilver crossed the portal, and a large and simple living room appeared in their eyes. This is naturally Li Shu's home. Li Shu also didn't want to hide his identity in front of Wanda and Quicksilver. Looking at this extravagant living room, Wanda and Quicksilver opened their eyes wide. Quicksilver said, "My God, brother, your living room is too big and arrogant, you are afraid of being a billionaire." Wanda was also surprised. After all, the two siblings depended on each other for life, so naturally they couldn't be too rich. They had only seen such a magnificent living room in movies, but in reality they were only shocked. Crackle. Crackle. There was a rushing sound of a handle tapping in the living room. Wanda frowned slightly. What strange sound. "Brother, you have other people living here." The two looked in the direction of the voice, on the carpet in front of the sofa. A gamehouse dragon who was frantically tapping the handle came into view. Seeing the green dragon, Wanda and Quicksilver's eyes instantly froze. This is a dragon? In the minds of the Wanda sisters and brothers, a word popped up. Fei Long also heard some noises, and he quickly took off his earphones and turned his head happily. "Boss, are you back?" Then it saw two strangers with dull expressions. It stared at the two of them. Brother Wanda recovered and took a deep breath. Wanda stammered at Li Shu. Your family, have a dragon." "Ah, really? Dragon?" Wanda felt a huge amount of shock to her whole body. She really did not expect that there are creatures like dragons in this world. Most importantly, her savior's home also raised such a legendary thing. This is just too miraculous. Quicksilver took a half step back in fright. "Brother. You belong to the city that breeds super dangerous, huge and rare animals. This is against the law." He knew that this brother should be very cheating. But I didn't expect that the other party was so cheating. There is also a real dragon at home. In the West, the dragon is almost an incarnation of evil, a powerful demon, so the two of them were still a little scared when they saw this dragon. Li Shu couldn't help laughing when he heard Quicksilver's words. This guy, the mouth is not ordinary, will be poor. He smiled and said, "Don't worry, it's safe and friendly. I call him Little Dragon, you can call it that too." Fei Long nodded his head and smiled naively. "Hello." Li Shu's thoughts moved, and the battlesuit on his body disappeared, revealing his true face. Seeing Li Shu's appearance, Quicksilver's eyes widened. "I'll go. How can you look so handsome? It's a bit unreasonable to be handsome. If you and my sister are together, I agree with both hands and feet. Your picture, my sister definitely took advantage of it." The Feihan Long next to him was stunned when he heard this. Thumbs up secretly. This flattering effort is much stronger than it is. Keep it in your notebook. Follow it later. Li Shu smiled. Wanda blushed instantly, as if she could drip blood. She slapped Quicksilver on the head with a fist. "If you talk nonsense again, I won't beat you." She glanced at Li Shu again. His brother was right, he was really good looking. It was something she hadn't thought of at all. Li Shu looked at the two and asked, "Where are you going next?" "Heard here." Wanda pondered for a while and said seriously, "My brother and I should find a job first, and then part work study. I want to go to a university. But as a matter of urgency, we will rent a cheaper house first." "Hear what Wanda says?" Li Shu asked. "If you don't have a house, you can live with me temporarily, and I'm quite big here anyway." "Heard here." Quicksilver's eyes light up. "Is it okay?" Li Shu said with a smile. "Definitely yes." At this time, Wanda glared at Quicksilver and said quickly, "Save us, we have already troubled you, we can't continue to trouble you. I still had some money in my previous bank card, not much, but enough for the two of us to rent a cheap mobile home. After a while, I will go to the city hall to issue an ID card, and then I will go to the bank to reissue a bank card." When he said this, Wanda's little face was full of seriousness. Wanda is not a person who likes to trouble others, especially after her parents died. She took on the responsibility of her eldest sister as a mother and became more independent. Li Shu didn't force it, and said with a smile, "Okay. Then I'll find a job for the two of you." When Wanda heard this, she did not refuse, but sincerely thanked Li Shu. Li Shu smiled freely. "It's all small things." Just at this time, Wanda's stomach suddenly growled. "Seems to be hungry." Immediately, Wanda's ears turned red, and she quickly covered her stomach, smiling embarrassedly and coquettishly. Li Shu snapped his fingers. Fei Feilong immediately got the signal. "Sit down for a while. I'll go get you something delicious." After speaking, put down the gamepad and trot towards the kitchen. Seeing this scene, the Wanda brothers and sisters were all very new. Wanda opened her shuling eyes and looked at Fei Feilong's back. "It can even make food, it's amazing." Quicksilver sighed. "God, brother, you are too bad. If you raise a dragon to be your own chef, I am afraid you are the only one in the world." Li Shu said with a smile. "What it makes is delicious, although it looks a little bloated and clumsy, but it is actually very flexible. I'll show you around while Xiaolong goes to get some food." After speaking, Li Shu started to show the two of them around his house. Looking at Li Shu's big flat, Quicksilver constantly marveled, and his eyes almost fell out. Wanda looked at such a beautiful house and looked at the seascape outside. Her eyes were shining. She stood in front of the floor-to-ceiling windows, looking at the seascape outside. There is an endless blue sea with sparkling waves on it. In some places, there are fish emerging and seagulls hunting. Above the sea, there is a clear blue sky and various seas of clouds. At a glance, the world is open, the mind is also open, and the mood is extraordinarily happy. Looking at the beauty, Wanda exclaimed, "Your house is so beautiful, you can see such a beautiful thing." Her bright green eyes looked at the scenery outside, her eyes lit up more and more, and there was a hint of happiness on her face. Wanda's happiness seems to be easy to satisfy. Just looking at those beautiful scenery, it is very happy, simple and pure. When Wanda is in view, Li Shu was looking at people enjoying the view. The faint sunlight shone on Wanda's delicate and flowery face, with a hint of gold, and she looked a little pure and holy, like a saint. Li Shu looked at Wanda's beautiful profile and couldn't help but smile. Wanda is really good looking. The one belonging to the sweet girl, soft, very gentle, very quiet when not angry, definitely has an excellent figure. Where it shouldn't be to save fabric, is not at all, although not as exaggerated as Gwen, but it is also extremely impressive. Gwen, on the other hand, has a hot body, a somewhat royal face, and a cheerful and lively personality. Definitely, she is also very sticky when she is clingy. The two have their own strengths and weaknesses, each with their own beauty. When Li Shu was admiring the beauty, Quicksilver, who was next to him, looked at the two of them and had a panoramic view of everything, and the corners of his mouth could not help but cocked slightly. Quicksilver smiled in his heart. He felt that his brother-in-law was having fun. As Wanda's younger brother, he can also see that his sister has a good impression of Li Shu. He also has a good impression of Li Shu, even a little worship, the invincible and handsome superhero. Can that boy refuse to worship him? So if the other party really becomes his brother-in-law, he is also very happy. Just at this time, a strong aroma of rice wafted out. When asked about the scent, she immediately evoked the essence of Wanda, a foodie. Xiao Chong took a breath, her eyes lit up, and she suddenly turned to look at the dining table. As a result, he saw Li Shu's gaze. The other party has been looking at her? Wanda looked into Li Shu's eyes, and her heart suddenly thumped. She felt her face start to heat up. She didn't know what was going on, but when she saw Li Shu, she suddenly felt that the other party seemed to be more beautiful than the beauty just now. The other party seemed to be bubbly, and when she saw the other party, she felt a little excited. Especially when I see the other party is also paying attention to me, there is an inexplicable joy in my heart. Li Shu looked at Wanda's little red face and showed a smile. Seeing this, Wanda's heart beat faster, and her face felt hotter. So she quickly avoided Li Shu's gaze and looked at the dining table, where a lot of food had already been put on it, and said, "The dishes are here." As Wanda glanced over, the food above came into view. Roasted goose, foie gras, roasted turkey, etc., are full of oil and fragrance, which makes people drool. Wanda's eyes lit up instantly, hurriedly trotted over, and swallowed. Okay. A lot of delicious food. Gurgle. Wanda's stomach suddenly growled again. This sound made Wanda blush instantly. She didn't dare to look at other people. Her eyes widened and she looked at the dining table without looking sideways. She pretended that nothing happened, but her red and hot ears betrayed her. Seeing this, Li Shu couldn't help shaking his head and smiling. "Let's eat first, the little dragon will come up slowly." Quicksilver hummed roar happily. "It's delicious." He ran up and quickly sat down. Li Shu also walked up and sat down. "Eat." The two nodded. Wanda took a portion of foie gras and put it in his mouth. Soon her eyes turned into crescent moons, and her little face was full of enjoyment. "Oh my god, it's so delicious. Xiaolong's cooking skills are amazing. It's something that only exists in the sky." After finishing speaking, she transformed into a small gluttonous glutton, and began to attack the battlefield. Looking at Wanda in the form of a gluttonous glutton, Li Shu's smile did not disappear. It was the first time he had seen such an edible girl. This also greatly changed his influence on Wanda. He had no idea that Wanda was still a real foodie. No wonder it grows so well, it turns out to be eating well. If you eat well, you will never starve your child and his father in the future. Quicksilver couldn't stop eating it. "My god, it's so delicious. Brother, you are so lucky to eat these delicious foods every day." But what's interesting is that Quicksilver's eating speed and weight are far behind his sister's. Wanda is really edible, and her small mouth is bulging at any time, instantly changing from an oval face to a small bun face. But soon, the two found a problem. That is, the dishes on the table do not seem to decrease, but are increasing. Xiaolong serves the dishes very quickly and in large quantities. It has far exceeded the weight of 3 people, and even exceeded the weight of 10. Seeing this, Wanda thought it was Xiaolong who saw that his belly was very edible, so he was afraid that he would not be able to eat enough, so he made a lot of it. But in Wanda's view, these have exceeded her appetite, and it has been wasted, which makes Wanda a little embarrassed. She hurriedly stopped Xiaolong and said a little embarrassedly, "Xiaolong, although I do eat a little." Before Wanda could finish speaking, he was interrupted by Quicksilver's muttering, "It's not a little bit, that's what thieves can eat." Hearing this, Wanda's ears turned red again, and she glanced at Li Shu, only to see that the other party was also looking at her with a smile on the corner of her mouth, making her even more embarrassed. She puffed out her cheeks, snorted, and slapped Quicksilver, "Don't interrupt me." She immediately looked at Xiaolong and said shyly, "Xiaolong, I do eat a lot, but you have made too much, and I can't finish it. It's too wasteful." When Xiaolong heard this, he laughed, "It's all right, sister. You don't have to worry, my boss can handle this, your food intake is nothing compared to my boss." At this time, Li Shu also smiled and said, "Wanda, don't worry, eat at ease, the rest is my meal." Wanda nodded obediently. "Oh, is there anyone who can eat better than her?" Countless question marks appeared in Wanda's little head. After all, she has grown up so much, and she has never seen a few people who can eat more than her. However, because it is too edible, Wanda is often embarrassed to eat with others for fear of being used as a rice bucket. As a result, I didn't expect that today. I seem to have met a bigger rice bucket and met a fellow man. And this person who has the same familiarity with her is Li Shu. This made Wanda inexplicably a little joyful. I don't know that Wanda is happy because the person she likes is the same as her. Or because I found a stronger rice bucket, and I am no longer the most able to eat. Wanda started the foodie motor again, turned it into a small gluttonous food and started again, chasing and blocking the food army on the table, fighting the heroes, and was about to cut off all the food heroes. Soon, Quicksilver was full, patted his stomach with satisfaction, and handed the battlefield to the remaining 2. Seeing the 2 men eating fiercely, sweeping through the clouds, and looking like it didn't end at all, Quicksilver clicked his tongue slightly. Especially when I saw that Li Shu didn't have to be slower than his sister, I was even more stunned. It was the first time he had grown so big that he could wrestle with his sister in terms of appetite. He shook his head slightly. How could these 2 people eat so much? Are these 2 still human? Quicksilver touched his chin again, and he felt that the 2 seemed to be more compatible. Immediately, the smile on his face became more intense. Thinking of this, Quicksilver smiled in his heart. When he looked at Li Shu, he looked more and more like a brother-in-law. The other party is really pleasing to the eye no matter how he looks at it. It was just prepared for the name of his brother-in-law. When Wanda was eating, she was so focused, wholeheartedly, that her eyes were all on the dishes. While eating the bowl and looking at the plate, his mouth was almost full, like a little squirrel. Seeing the girl who was so focused on eating, Li Shu couldn't help but laugh. This girl, when eating, is really cute and foul. This is very different from the Wanda he influenced in a few years later. At that time, Wanda was already relatively mature, but at the moment Wanda was even more innocent and lovely. Whether it was on the outside or on the inside, there was still a strong sense of childishness and innocence. Wanda didn't know that Li Shu looked at her from time to time, otherwise, she would be shy again. Wanda, who is all about food, at the moment completely leaves the man breed behind. Focus on the food business for 18 years, with rich work experience. Maybe this is the legendary career brain. Quicksilver next to him looked at the very focused old lady and had a headache. Without seeing your brother-in-law looking at you all the time, how could you be so focused on the meal? A good opportunity is not seized, really. At your age, at your time, are you eating right? How are you right? You are just too focused. However, he was too embarrassed to remind his old sister. He could only frown and sigh in his heart, worrying about the old sister's love career. Soon, Wanda was finally full. The belly was slightly lifted. She looked at her belly, touched it, and smiled happily. Too delicious. Wanda has never eaten something so delicious. Wanda was simply happy and had the urge to cry. Woohoo! Too delicious. She touched her belly with satisfaction, then looked at Li Shu who was still eating. Looking at the plate beside him, the smile on his face instantly solidified, staring blankly at the plate beside Li Shu. Seemingly suspecting that she had read it wrong, she leaned forward slightly, her dull almond eyes blinking a few times. After making sure there are no hallucinations, she looked at the other party's plate, and then looked at the plate in front of her. He swallowed suddenly. She already had a stack of plates on her side, and she felt like she could eat it. Although Li Shu said that she could eat it too, she thought she could eat a little more than herself. The result was unexpected. Looking at the pile of plates beside the other party, a trace of panic appeared on Xiao Teoti's face. This trace of panic, usually only others will show her appetite when they see her. It never occurred to her that she would feel a little panic when she saw the appetite of others. She looked at the younger brother beside her, but the younger brother also had a dull expression on his face. Obviously, the younger brother did not expect that Li Shu's appetite was so extraordinary. But soon, the panic on Wanda's face disappeared, only a little excited. The other party can eat as much as she does, and the two of them have something in common. Thinking of this, Wanda felt a little happy. Hey. At this time, Quicksilver on the side spoke up, and he asked his doubts. By the way, brother, why did you come back there to save us? And why did you save the two of us alone? When Wanda heard this, she nodded slightly. Li Shu said with a smile, I have the ability to predict the future, and I feel that the two of you will be useful to the world in the future. Will contribute to the peace and tranquility of the world, so I will go and save you. I didn't just rescue you, I also rescued others, I just didn't bring them back. Heard here. Brother Wanda's eyes widened. Can predict the future? Is it so miraculous? But when they thought of the mysterious magic of each other, the two were relieved. Li Shu is so powerful, he knows a little bit of prediction, so what's the problem? It's just that the two of them didn't expect that their Weibo power could still be useful to the world. Soon, Li Shu ate all the food. Looking at the pile of dinner plates, both siblings swallowed. This amount of food is simply a metaphor for terror. Quicksilver swallowed a mouthful of saliva and said, Brother, you can't actually be a dragon. Otherwise, how could your food intake be so amazing? Li Shu smiled and shook his head. Nothing, I am a normal human being. Normal. Whether it was the Wanda siblings or Feifeilong, the corners of their eyes twitched when they heard this. If Li Shu was a normal person, there would be no normal person in the world. Quicksilver immediately smiled and said, I finally know why my brother is so powerful. King Kong is not broken, and after eating so much, everyone has to become an immortal. Wanda next to him smiled charmingly. It is a blessing to be able to eat, and a blessing to be able to eat, hee. Saying that, she touched her bulging belly. Li Shu looked at the charming Wanda with a smile on his face. Yes, it is a blessing to be able to eat, and a blessing to be able to eat. Looking at Li Shu's smiling eyes, Wanda smiled a little embarrassedly. Li Shu immediately said seriously, by the way, for work, you should go to Tesla Company, it is a small company I just founded, you can go to work there first. The two nodded quickly when they heard Li Shu's words. Wanda said seriously, thank you, Hugh. Li Shu smiled and shook his head, it's all trivial matters. Saying that, he snapped his fingers. A pen and a piece of paper flew over. Li Shu wrote down an address. This is the company's address. I will call Roar when the time comes, you just need to go. Wanda took over the address, and the chicken pecking rice nodded. Okay. Immediately, Wanda stood up, her voice soft and her eyes bright. Hugh, then Pietro and I will go first, we have to go to the city hall, and then go to the bank. Li Shu nodded. Okay. He also stood up and waved his hand. The pots and pans on the table flew into the dishwasher and washed automatically. Brother Wanda looked at Li Shu's ability, and both showed a trace of envy. After all, this ability is too convenient. Li Shu snapped his fingers again. Suddenly, a small pile of money flew out and landed in Li Shu's hands. Li Shu handed the money to Wanda. You take the money first, if you can't get the money today, take the money to rent a house first. Wanda waved his hand quickly. No, you have helped us a lot, I can't take your money anymore. Wanda's eyes showed a firmness, although Wanda looked soft, but once a decision was made, it was difficult to change. Li Shu grabbed Wanda's soft little hand, and his attitude was firm. I lent you this money, so you must accept it. When you make money, just give it back to me. Don't accept it, or I'll be angry. Wanda looked at Li Shu's face, bit her lip, and finally lowered her head slightly and said in a low voice, Thank you, you are so kind to me. Wanda has grown up, and it was the first time someone treated her so seriously and tenderly, which made her feel warm in her heart. At the age of 10, her family was destroyed and she and her younger brother were displaced. She had seen a lot of human affection and malice in the world, but she had never encountered someone like Li Shu. When Li Shu heard this, a smile appeared on his face, and he touched Wanda's head. Just be obedient. Wanda was touched like this, and a shy smile appeared on her face. She suddenly took a breath. Then, with a flushed face, he suddenly hugged Li Shu. Thank you, Hugh. After speaking, he stood on tiptoe and quickly pecked Li Shu's side face. After doing this, Wanda turned her head and ran away, leaving Li Shu's house as if she were running away. Li Shu stood there, his expression still a little stunned. He had no idea that this shy little girl could be so bold. Good guy. Then he saw Quicksilver wink at him, and whispered, brother-in-law. Li Shu laughed after hearing this. He chose to pat Quicksilver on the shoulder. Take care of your sister, after all, you are a boy. Quicksilver raised his chest and said to himself, Don't worry, brother-in-law. Although it was my sister who took care of me, I was always protecting my sister from childhood to adulthood. As long as I'm here, no one can hurt her. Li Shu nodded and said seriously, Pietro, your ability is actually very powerful, beyond your imagination. Exercise and control it, you will become an extremely powerful superhero. I can see your future, so you need to understand that you are different and powerful. Hearing Li Shu's words, Pietro Roar breathed suddenly. Can I really? Li Shu smiled and said, Yes. Pietro nodded heavily. I remember, brother-in-law. Then Li Shu snapped his fingers again and flew out a stack of money and handed it to Pietro. Quicksilver shook his head quickly. No, brother-in-law, we can't take your things anymore, you gave us so much. Li Shu tapped the other party's head. Take it, even if you don't need it yourself, think about your sister. If you suddenly run out of money, wouldn't it be embarrassing? Take it. This money is nothing to me. Li Shu put Qian Chang into Quicksilver's hands. Quicksilver looked at Li Shu gratefully and said, Thank you, brother-in-law. Saying that, he bowed heavily. At this moment, Quicksilver recognized his brother-in-law even more. Li Shu patted the other party's shoulder. Okay, let's go, don't make your sister wait too long. Quicksilver nodded. Immediately, he put the money in his pocket and went after Wanda. Li Shu showed a small smile. For his own people, Li Shu has never been stingy. He touched the spot where Wanda had just pecked and shook his head and smiled. Just at this time, the phone rang. A crisp and vibrant voice sounded. Stop. Li Shu smiled and said, What's the matter, Xiao? Gwen coquettishly said, Aren't you going to be with your little grid today? I haven't seen you for almost 24 hours. Li Shu smiled. Okay, I'll come to you later. I just want to buy a car, let's go together. Hearing Li Shu agree, Gwen's happy voice came from the other end of the phone. She immediately said, Okay, Xiao accompanies Huo to see the car today. Li Shu said with a smile, That's fine, I'll come and pick you up right away. Gwen said, Hey, before we buy a car, let's go shopping for a while, you can take me to the beach for a ride on a bicycle. I want you to ride your bike around the beach with you. Hearing Gwen's words, Li Shu couldn't help laughing. It's really a weird idea. it's okay to go around the beach on a bicycle. Li Shu replied with a smile. Okay, I'll rent a bicycle in a while, and then I'll come to pull you. Gwen giggled. Thank you, Boss Li, for your love. Gwen asked Li Shu again, and Li Shu went out. Before going out, he made another phone call. When I called the master horse and told him about the Wanda siblings. At the same time, let him give the city hall and the bank a sigh of relief, and give the Wanda sisters and brothers the green light to make up for the rework. Today's Master Ma is guaranteed by Li Shu's abundant funds, and the new company has already started, and it seems that he has become an upstart in New York City, and has also obtained better network resources. So getting the city hall and the banks to give the green light is a trivial matter. Master Ma said that it was on him, the other side. Above a taxi heading to City Hall, siblings Wanda sit on it. Quicksilver said, Sister, it seems that you are interested in Brother Shu. Is this the legendary love at first sight? For the two of you, I agree with both hands. When Wanda heard this, her ears turned slightly red. She fiddled with each other with her fingers unconsciously, and then whispered, What's the use of your approval? You need others to approve. Quicksilver smiled. I think Brother Shu is somewhat interesting to you. You don't know, when you eat, he also looks at you from time to time. He didn't look at me, just looked at you, and his face was full of smiles, so Brother Hugh was probably interested in you. As for Brother Hugh, he said that we helped the future, so he saved us, hee. I guess he might even just want to save you. Wanda snorted in surprise, and her face turned even redder. He is looking at me when he is eating? Quicksilver nodded. Hearing this, Wanda smiled naively and kept fiddling with her fingers. Quicksilver looked out the window and said, Brother Shu looks very rich. Is he a rich second generation? He probably has tens of millions or even hundreds of millions of USD in his family. Wanda listened and shook her head. Quicksilver slammed it. After I go to the city hall to get the certificate, and then fill up the bank card, we can go to rent. We have a house that belongs to us. We were imprisoned in the research institute in the morning, and now we are living independently by ourselves, and everything feels so dreamy. Wanda looked at the high-rise buildings outside, and her eyes were a little blurry. Yes, everything feels too beautiful, too unreal. Just at this time, on the small TV in the taxi, a news is being broadcast. Recently, 30% of Stark Group's shares were sold to an 18-year-old mysterious young man, making him the world's youngest billionaire. According to the information disclosed by Stark Group, I know that the other party is a young man named Li Shu, and he sold a top technology to Tony Stark to get this huge asset. To be able to exchange such a huge asset, I think this technology is extraordinary. Later, according to our investigation, we found that this person is a high school student who is still studying, but he is very low-key on weekdays. Almost no one knows that he will have such a huge wealth in the future, and no one knows that he is actually a top technology genius. While telling the news, a photo was released. It was an extremely handsome young man, in good spirits, with a gentle smile on his face. When hearing the name of Li Shu, the Wanda siblings were both stunned. Immediately, the two turned to look at the news. They saw that familiar face. It was the Li Shu they had met. Listening to the story in the news that Li Shu obtained tens of billions of USD in assets through the sale of high-tech, the whole car snorted 3 times. The driver said with envy and hatred, Fake, 18 years old, with assets of tens of billions of dollars, F*K, this world is so unfair. So much money at the age of 18, and you won't be able to play to the sky after that. Shit, this boy is so handsome, he's not going to save anyone else's life. The driver gritted his teeth. God is so F*King unfair, the doors are all open for him, and none of the windows are closed. Wanda and Quicksilver looked at each other. Both saw shock from each other's eyes. Quicksilver stammered. My imagination is so limited, too bold, too poor, too poor. Wanda also stammered. He actually. This. So much money. Tens of billions of dollars, how much would that be? This moment. The wind is noisy, and the wind seems to carry the smell of money. Shortly after, the two got their IDs very smoothly, and they also got their bank cards smoothly. Then I found a specialized rental agency and rented a very cheap mobile home in a mobile home community. Mobile homes are built with a few boards, which can be dragged, and there are relatively complete household facilities on them, such as air conditioners and gas stoves. Even if you buy a new one, it's only a few $1,000s, and it's even cheaper to rent. It belongs to the standard of the poor in the United States. It is definitely expensive for utilities and the like, and the rent for community sites is slightly more expensive, with a few $100s a month. Done with the house. The two went to the small company that Li Shu said. In front of a top 5A office building, the Wanda brothers and sisters stood foolishly. Wanda said dumbly, is this what Hugh called a small company? Quicksilver sluggishly said, maybe this is the small company in the mouth of the billionaire. Soon. Wanda entered the top office building somewhat crampedly. Others are basically suits and leather shoes, meticulous and high-spirited. Only the two of them wore normal casual clothes. And the two have never been where so many elites are. But compared to Wanda's cramped, Quicksilver is a little more excited. I'm coming here to work, it's really comfortable. Soon. The two came to Tesla Company. Under the powerful executive power of Master Ma, the entire company has become well organized, and many people are working in it. The entire 32th floor is the Tesla Company. It looks very stylish and modern, like the top companies in TV. The Wanda siblings once again have a new understanding of small companies. Especially when they know that Li Shu has invested several billion USD in this company, this understanding is even deeper. Soon. The two met the leader Ma, and the leader Ma welcomed them very warmly. In the end, Master Ma gave the two interns jobs based on their knowledge level and experience. He also said that he would arrange for the two to attend high school later. That's it. The Wanda siblings are considered stable in New York City. Soon after the Wanda siblings left, Li Shu came to a bicycle rental room near the school. Since Gwen wants to ride a bike, Li Shu naturally wants to satisfy each other. Li Shu smiled at the boss. Boss, bring me a bicycle and rent it for 24 hours. Several people in the same school recognized Li Shu immediately. Hey, isn't this Li Shu? He's really handsome. But I heard that he's very poor. Now it looks like he's really poor, and he doesn't even have a bicycle at home. His family is indeed very poor. After all, he is an orphan. Hey, he is also quite pitiful. However, no matter how poor he is, if he is nice to me, I am still willing. After all, I am greedy for his body. Yes, you are scumbag. Li Shu naturally heard the discussions outside, but he didn't care. Just picked a car. School entrance. A pretty figure stood. With a cold face and a ponytail, even in an ordinary white short-sleeved and shorts, it showed his figure to the fullest. Concave and convex, the thighs are slender, straight and snow-white, and the whole body is full of youthful vitality. When people look at it, they can't help but look at it a few more times, and after a few more glances, they can't help but look at it more than a dozen times. A real stunner. Boom boom boom. At this time, a low growl sounded. Then a blue Porsche convertible supercar galloped and stopped at the school gate. It attracted countless students to stop and watch. Although it's just a $100,000 to $200,000 Porsche 911, it's still a Porsche after all. What's more, the driver was someone from their school, Ben, the captain of the basketball team. For students, Porsche is a glittering signboard and a top-notch symbol. So this car attracted countless admiration and surprise roar. Ben received the shock and admiration of his classmates and felt very comfortable, even a little intoxicated. This kind of person, who is envied by everyone, is the essence of his life. Many schoolgirls also rushed forward, hoping to take a ride in Ben's Porsche. Ben, can I take your Porsche? Can you take me for a ride? Ben, did we have a good time on the rooftop last time? Would you like to try it on the sea for a while? Ben, can you take me? A group of schoolgirls gathered around Porsche, chatting. But he ignored them. Instead, he looked at Gwen at the door, he shook his hair and said with a smile, Gwen, want to try my Porsche? This is the new car that my dad bought for me. It cost more than 200,000 USD, and I bought the best one. I can take you around for a ride. Gwen, who was standing behind the crowd, glanced at him lightly, then withdrew his gaze and didn't speak at all. Ben's mouth twitched a few times at Gwen's attitude. But he didn't give up, squeezed out a smile and said, my car is a 6-cylinder, it only takes less than 5 seconds to run to 100, and it can take you to experience the feeling of extreme speed. Gwen ignored him at all. A friend of Gwen's side asked, my family is really rich and handsome, do you really not think about it? Gwen said calmly, I think that having too stinky money is just that, childish, I prefer Hugh to be approachable and gentle. Ben has to speak. At this time, Li Shu came on a bicycle. Li Shu smiled and said, want to go for a ride? Gwen folded her chest and looked at Li Shu, pretending to be contemplative, and then said, okay, since your attitude is so sincere, I can barely sit in your car. As he spoke, there was a trace of sunere on his face. But as soon as he finished speaking, the coldness on Gwen's face couldn't hold back, and he showed a smile like an iceberg melting. She giggled, happily jogged up, and got on Li Shu's bicycle. Gwen put her arms around Li Shu's waist and said cheerfully, let's go for a ride. Li Shu smiled and said, okay, hurry up. After speaking, he rode his bicycle and disappeared in place. leaving the sluggish people, the sluggish Ben. Everyone looked at the bike, then at the Porsche, and finally at the book. There was a trace of pity on his face. Ben stared blankly at the gone beauty, and for the first time in his life fell into self-doubt. Don't people love Porsche Ferraris? Why would anyone choose to ditch a Porsche for a bike? Is this really the material world he saw? Is there really someone who doesn't love supercars? Ben didn't know what Dongfang said. I would rather sit in a BMW and cry than sit on a bicycle and laugh. If he knew, I am afraid it will only be more autistic. At this time, others couldn't help but sigh. I thought that the most attractive things for girls were bags and supercars, but I didn't expect that the real attractive girls were people. You were wrong. To attract ordinary girls to supercars, but to attract high-quality girls, you still have to look at people. Hey, in the face of the right person, a supercar is no better than a bicycle. It's probably the saddest thing I've ever seen, a supercar losing to a bike. Although I think my behavior may be wrong, I still have to laugh. Ah ha ha ha. It's a shame to lose a supercar to a bicycle. Ha ha ha. The supercar loses to the bicycle. How bad this person is. Listen to the chatter around you. Ben's face turned a pig's liver color. He hurriedly pulled a more beautiful girl, then prepared to start the super run, and then left. The result is at this time, several people said a few words. Hey, good guy, no wonder Li Shu went to rent a bicycle, so he wanted to pull people. I didn't expect that the rented bicycles could compete with supercars and attract big beauties. No way, as we all know, it's normal for Li Shu's family to not be able to afford a bicycle. Hear this. Ben only felt a slight darkness in front of him. Damn, he can't even compare to a poor guy with a bicycle. Boom. He directly launched the super run and left the place where he could not wait to dig into the ground. The roar of the supercar broke out, and it disappeared from people's field of vision. It's just this time, the supercar's sprint is not so handsome in the eyes of everyone. On the contrary, there is a sense of embarrassment to flee. Everyone laughed. Just at this time, the friend who just asked Gwen a question swiped his phone and got a message. The above is the news of the mysterious teenage billionaires who have been hotly debated in the past few days. See name and photo above. The friend was stunned for a moment, then his pupils shrank suddenly, and he sucked in a breath of cold air. It's approachable. It turns out to be close to people. My God, is this really Li Shu? Names, photos, schools are the same. Oh my God. 10 billion USD, the top 50 richest people in America. How can? Seeing that news, my friend trembled all over. The people next to him felt the abnormality of this person, and they all subconsciously looked at the news on the other party's mobile phone. Subsequently, there was a sound of gasping for breath. When a person saw the news, his scalp tingled. My God, the billionaire young man is Li Shu. Fake. How can this world be so magical? Li Shu turned out to be that mysterious billionaire. Oh my God, didn't expect the latest legend to be in our school. No wonder, Gwen didn't choose Ben's supercar, a 200,000 supercar, what garbage truck. If it were me, my mother would choose a billionaire who rides a bicycle, what's a 200,000 supercar? Sheet. I didn't expect the most discerning one to be Gwen. Woohoo. I thought the goddess had met true love, but I didn't expect the goddess to meet the true god of wealth. If I were Gwen, I wouldn't take a look at that 911, and I would lose if I took a look. I'm dirty with my eyes. What rubbish. Take out the toy car and touch the porcelain. You're going too far, comparing the 911 to a toy car. However, I like the analogy, vivid, ha ha ha. Indeed, Gwen is still not cool enough. If I were to take a look at the toy car. After being shocked, a group of people started talking. Fortunately, Ben just left. Otherwise, hearing this discussion, the whole person may be completely split, and it will never heal. After all, a Ferrari was finally brought out to show off, but unexpectedly, it instantly became garbage and became a toy car in people's mouths. As the saying goes, goods are afraid of goods, people are afraid of people are more than people, and they are better than dead man. I had to stay for a while. It is estimated that the Caesarean section will be performed on the spot. At the same time, Li Shu officially became the true god of the school, and became the object of worship by all. An 18-year-old billionaire, what kind of Shuangwen script hero is this? This is the true legend, the top big shot in America. Li Shu is really hiding too deep. Who would have thought that this guy who is recognized as having poor economic conditions would dare to become a tens of billionaires? I feel so magical. Yes, it's really too magical. No one would have thought that a mediocre orphan could suddenly become a top rich man. Most importantly, he's only 18 years old, 5 years younger than when Tony Stark took over the family business. And Stark inherited the family business, while Li Shu earned it himself. Li Shu is the real cheat. I regret being a classmate with Li Shu for more than 2 years, and I didn't discover his brilliance earlier, and then lick him. Otherwise, maybe I will fall in love with the boss. King regret it. I have been classmates with him since elementary school, but I never took the chance. I knew this. King licked him to death. Woo woo woo. I like him everywhere. He's so handsome, but unfortunately he's too cold. I thought he had a poor temper, but I didn't think about it. At the same time, the news of the true identity of the tens of billions of young millionaires also spread with the news. Originally it was a gimmick, and coupled with the transmission of the news, the whole country exploded in an instant. Everyone knows it. The billionaire teenage millionaire is Li Shu, a senior in a middle school in New York City. It is astonishing that a junior high school student who is about to take the university entrance examination turns out to be a billionaire. In addition to the previous rendering of the mysterious young rich man, it has aroused the curiosity of many people, and the truth has naturally exploded. Caused a complete stir. For a while, Li Shu's photos went viral on the internet, quickly fermented in the society, and quickly entered the attention of countless people. The youngest billionaire in history is so handsome, so handsome. I thought this super genius was already a doctor or even a doctoral tutor, or graduated from college early, but I didn't expect. High school students. Sheet. High school students. 10 billionaires. 2 completely different words are now mixed together. My God, too bad. Damn fake. How can you be so rich? The richest high school student in history is born. So rich, I'm crying. Most importantly, he's so King handsome. That's outrageous. I want to ask God, which window was closed for him? Probably closed the chat dialogue with you. The news swept the United States like a storm. Inside the police station, Chief George is working on some of this information. The deputy is swiping information on his mobile phone. Suddenly, the deputy took a deep breath, and then slapped the coffee table, which directly startled George. Director George glared at his deputy, and raised the folder in his hand to smash. Are you looking for death? It's nothing to scare lousy. The deputy hurriedly covered his head. Wait. Boss. I didn't mean to. The news is too hot. Too hot. I didn't control myself. Chief George bared his teeth. You are a captain-level figure anyway, and you are not stable at all. The deputy saw that the director hadn't dropped the folder, so he slowly retracted his hands and ran up. Boss, I really don't blame me for not controlling my emotions. The news is really too exciting. Speaking, he handed out his cell phone and showed the news to Chief George. Director George carefully examined the news. Pung. A slap hit the table, and the whole person jumped up, and his eyes almost popped out. Mom, fake. The deputy looked at the director, who was more exaggerated than him, and smiled in his heart. The boss of the dog thief is not as good as Lao Su, and he also says Lao Su. Chief George snatched the phone from the other party's hand. The frightened deputy hurriedly said, Be careful, the top Nokia I just bought, don't break it for me. Chief George glared at him angrily. You can resist bullets, can I break it? The deputy smiled and said, It's not good to touch it, there are scratches, it's very ugly. Besides, what's in your old man's house? He laughed dryly. No way. Director George glared angrily. You kid likes to give me poverty, right? The deputy hurriedly smiled and said, Hey, isn't this making you happy? Director George carefully looked at the news on his phone again, trying to see if he was wrong. Read it several times. Then the name, photo, school, is the kid he knew. Director George took a slight breath. Sheet, this is too fantastic. This kid turned out to be a billionaire? Damn. What the hell is wrong with this world? Something went wrong. He swallowed a mouthful of saliva. This kid is indeed cheating. I thought he was absolutely extraordinary at first, as expected. The young people today are too outrageous. The deputy next to him smacked his tongue and said, This kid is really deep enough to hide, and he even caught people and paid bounties some time ago, and he even bargained with us. Damn, he bargained with us for tens of thousands of dollars for a long time, and those who didn't know thought he was really a poor dog. The result is actually, with tens of billions of USD in assets, this kid can really pretend to be poor. He continued. Obviously he's going to be rich enough to rival the country, but he came to our small police station with limited funds to search it. It seems that this kid is not a general fan of money. Don't miss a little bit of petty profit. However, the quality of this pair of extreme searches for money deserves him to be a billionaire. The deputy was like a fly buzzing in Director George's ear, and Director George slapped him on the forehead. Don't babble, it's annoying me. Director George nodded slightly, with some admiration in his eyes. This kid is really extraordinary. The young people today are too powerful. It's really a generation that is stronger than a generation. The deputy smiled. Your daughter is not in the same school as him, they. When Director George heard the other party say half of it, he knew what he said. Another slap on the back of the other's head. F***ku. It's impossible for my daughter to be with him. His deputy covered the back of his head and comforted him. This kid is a top genius, a super rich man, and he has outstanding combat power. The conditions are simply heaven. Don't you admire him too? Wouldn't it be better if he became your son-in-law? Snapped. Another slap. Director George glared angrily. You climb for Lao Su. What's so good about the super rich top talents? Look at that Tony Stark, playboy, with this woman and that woman every day. These rich people are full of flowers. Can I give my precious daughter to such a person? Besides, this kid is extremely cruel and searchable. My daughter would never like this kind of person. As her father, I know exactly what kind of person my daughter likes. She likes all those gentle and considerate boys who are not stingy at all. Don't mention this kid and my daughter at the same time in front of Lao Su. Believe it or not, Lao Su charged you with a gun. The deputy pouted, took the phone and said in a low voice, what if? After all, people are born to be a good match, and it's your turn to object to your old man. Chief George's ears were tipped, and he was furious, and gestured to his waist. You mother f***cur. The deputy hurriedly ran out of the director's office. The other side. On the bike. Li Shu sneezed at the same time as Gwen. Such a coincidence made the two of them froze for a moment, and then they both laughed. Gwen giggled. Looks like we're a match made in heaven, and we all sneezed together. Saying that, she hugged Li Shu's waist tightly and kissed Li Shu's cheek. Hey, you can never escape my clutches, little white rabbit. Li Shu also smiled when he heard it. The other side. Inside the police station. Chief George was about to resume his office when he suddenly sneezed. Director George slapped his mouth and said, who is thinking of me? When he saw the family portrait on the table, his eyes became tender and doting, and he smiled naively. It can't be my precious daughter who is thinking of me. Saying that, the director touched the back of his head. Li Shu rode Gwen on the asphalt road by the sea. Because of the sun, they both wore sunglasses and sun hats. But it is precisely because of this that it saves some trouble. Ear. It is the clear and audible sound of the clattering waves and the chirping of seagulls, all of which are the clean sounds of nature. Besides, there is a sound. That's the creaking sound. It was the sound of the bicycles under Li Shu and the two of them. The car made this sound as Li Shu kept pedaling with his feet. Gwen widened his eyes and said, my God, Hugh, our car won't fall apart while driving. Speaking of which, Gwen was a little scared, so she hugged Li Shu even tighter. Li Shu's face also showed a hint of helplessness. I didn't expect that this rental company's car would be pulled like this. However, he glanced at the car, and it was still very firm. Although it made a creaking noise, it did not affect the operation at all. However, Li Shu reinforced the car a bit. He flicked his finger lightly. An invisible reinforcement magic is cast. The car was firmer, but still squeaked. He smiled. Don't worry, I'm very experienced in riding a bicycle, and the creaking is normal. It's very difficult to ride it to pieces. Hearing this, Gwen felt relieved. But she immediately wrinkled Xiao Chong's nose slightly, her eyes narrowed. Something is wrong with you. Li Shu smiled and said, what's wrong? At the same time, he also murmured slightly in his heart. This little girl won't smell Wanda from him, or find any strands of hair. But it shouldn't be. When he came, he eliminated the odor on his body and checked it out. Gwen looked at Li Shu up and down carefully, his eyes were extremely sharp, and Li Shu looked a little creepy. He felt even more anxious. This little girl won't really find anything. Li Shu smiled calmly and said, what's wrong? Is there anything strange about me? Xiao Nizi nodded with a serious face. It's really strange. Li Shu sneered. What's so strange? The little girl tapped his cheek with her finger. That's where Wanda had pecked before. Moment. Li Shu's whole body was tense, and suddenly a cold air burst out from his back. Do you have lipstick on your face? No, that girl Wanda has no chance to put on lipstick, she is locked inside every day. Are there any other imprints left? Just when Li Shu's nerves were tense. Xiao Nizi finally spoke. She frowned, her delicate little face was full of doubts. Why is there no sweat on your face and body? This sun, I have sweated a lot, and you have not shed a single sweat. And you are still in the car. Heard here. Li Shu's mouth twitched. Good guy, he thought this little girl was out of nothing and forcibly discovered something. The result was unexpected, because of this reason. Naturally, he won't sweat anymore. After all, his current physique has reached an extremely perverted level. Not to mention this little heat, this little amount of exercise, even if it increases dozens or hundreds of times, he will not necessarily sweat. Immediately, Xiao Nizi's words almost made her fall from the car. Xiao Nizi hesitated. You don't have kidney deficiency. Li Shu's eyes widened. Dear, this little girl really needs to be cleaned up. Li Shu said viciously. It seems that the lesson from the last time was not enough. You dare to slander your boyfriend like this. It seems that I have to give you some color. Hearing this, Gwen showed a hint of panic on her face, and immediately hugged Li Shu tightly. No, no. No bullying. You bullied me badly last time. It hurt me for days. Saying that, Gwen buried her face in Li Shu's back and kept shaking her head. No, no, no. Seeing Xiao Nizi's frightened look made Li Shu amused. Li Shu smiled. Okay, fool, don't shake your head. I'll tell you the secret to not sweating. Hearing Li Shu's words, Gwen stopped shaking his head and raised his head, with a hint of curiosity on his face. What's the secret? Li Shu said. First of all, my physique is special, and I don't sweat easily. In addition, there is another key factor, that is, the mind is calm and naturally cool. He continued. You are just too impetuous in your heart. As long as you calm down, it will not be so hot. Gwen slowly probed and looked at Li Shu's profile. When I put a question mark, it's not that I have a problem, but that I think you have a problem. Li Shu glanced at Gwen's movements and expressions, and was delighted. I don't know if it's because love makes people's IQ drop, but he feels that being with him makes Gwen a lot more foolish. He continued to talk nonsense. Huh? You still don't believe it? Gwen stared at him intently, her little face expressionless. As if to say, do you think I'm a big fool? Li Shu smiled and said, I don't believe it, do you? Let me tell you, this is a secret from the East. You do what I say to calm down your mood, and you will know that I have not lied to you again. Li Shu tapped Gwen's white forehead and said, meditation. Gwen groaned and covered her forehead with her hands. Immediately, she snorted angrily. I'll expose you soon, liar. After speaking, she began to do as she did, closing her eyes. Start to calm down. Soon, she was surprised to find that the surroundings seemed to have really cooled down. She opened her eyes in surprise. Immediately, he leaned forward, facing Li Shu's profile, his eyes sparkling. Hey, it really seems to work. Li Shu smiled inwardly. Naturally effective. He released a drop of freezing ability, which made the temperature around him drop a little. The temperature has really dropped, and naturally it's not hot anymore. She continued. I found that the surroundings seem to be really cooling down. It's amazing. But, the effect is too obvious. Speaking of the back, she wrinkled Xiao Chong's nose, her face still suspicious. But all of a sudden, she felt that the surroundings were slowly getting warm again. Gwen said, Hey, it's hot again. Li Shu said solemnly. As I said, the mind is naturally cold. Look at you, and you are not meditating again. Will it be hot soon? Gwen hurriedly took a deep breath and exhaled, trying to calm down, and soon his body cooled down again. Gwen smiled. I have mastered it. This is a secret word from the East. After speaking, his expression immediately returned to his calm look. However, there was a hint of pride on his face. Li Shu's heart blossomed when he saw this. Li Shu took Gwen for a spin in the sea, and then took Gwen to the Ferrari store. The people in the store recognized Li Shu at a glance. The attitude of the moment was simply not very good. Even the manager personally came out to entertain, with a flattering smile on his face. The enthusiasm made Li Shu and Gwen slap their tongues slightly. In fact, Li Shu really wanted to customize a supercar, but it took a long time, so he could only buy a supercar first. Li Shu discovered that at this time in this world, there is still Rafa, who seems to have come out earlier than in the previous life. So Li Shu bought a Raphael, which cost him 2 million USD. In the end, Li Shu took Gwen to the road in a red Rafa. In fact, Li Shu wanted to drive Gwen too, but unfortunately Gwen had not learned to drive, and could not drive without a driver's license. In the following time, Li Shu played with Gwen all the time. No way, Gwen is really clingy sometimes. After Li Shu left, the store employees tweeted that Li Shu came to their store to buy a supercar. He even said that following Li Shu, there is also a super seductive beauty with a shocking figure. But these tweets are all without photos. They wanted to take a photo with Li Shu, but Li Shu didn't allow it, so they didn't dare to take pictures casually. Because there are no photos, some people are suspicious. However, with the recent fire of Li Shu, the news spread quickly and was quickly reported by various portals, gossip platforms and gossip news. Suddenly everyone knew that Li Shu brought a beautiful woman to buy a luxury car. Police station. George turned over the computer and read the news.
I got this lace news in an instant. He left aside. Sure enough, rich people are all the same. Once you have money, you will start to enjoy cars and beauties, and spend the world.
He immediately shook his head and said, the woman now worships money too much, and it's not very good. He thought of his daughter again, and showed a smile. It's better for my daughter, obedient and not materialistic. I don't know that it will be cheap for that stinky boy. Having said that, he stroked the beard on his chin with a smile. With the explosion of Li Shu, more attention also came to him. People quickly discovered his new company Tesla, an electric car company. At the same time, almost all the shares pledged by Li Shu were excavated, in exchange for a large amount of cash flow to help the new company. Pledge all the shares and develop a new company like breaking a boat. This undoubtedly attracted a lot of attention. In addition, the current industry prospect of electric vehicles is not very clear, and the fuel engine is still the absolute mainstream. So this raises a lot of doubts. Those financial people in the society, and even some company executives have all spoken out. Li Shu is a teenager after all, and has no experience in running a company at all, and is too impulsive. Putting all the money into a very uncertain industry, the ones that simply can't stand the burn, will be squandered very quickly, eventually causing the company to go bankrupt and Li Shu to lose all of his shares. Society likes to create gods, and at the same time, it also likes to destroy gods very much. Hearing that the young genius who just exploded in the United States could be so impulsive and demented to invest in an industry that is very unclear and difficult to see in a short period of time, countless people were immediately excited and gloated. So the whole fishing reel changed, from admiration to sarcasm and schadenfreude, indicating that the rich young man was just a flash in the pan. These news soon spread into Li Shu's ears, but for these noises, he just smiled lightly and didn't take it to heart. After all, the true pioneers have always been against the current, facing countless doubts and realizing the truth and dreams. Definitely, the main thing is to be confident and know the trends of the industry in the future. Compared with the gossip outside, Li Shu is currently more concerned about himself. Because cooldown time is up again. Simulation cooldown time is over. Do you want to start a new simulation? Li Shu had planned to go to the polar regions, and brought back the blood of the chicken and bull monster. But because I was with Gwen these 2 days, I didn't have time to go. So he was going to get it after the simulation was over. After taking it back, he can make the beauty-preserving potion, and he has already purchased the other materials.
As for the raw materials of the life-extending medicine, he can find almost all of them, but one of the main medicines cannot be found on Earth, and he needs to go to other planets.
However, there are alternatives on Earth, but the effect is slightly worse. Almost, at least better than nothing. After this simulation, the related raw materials are almost expired. At that time, these 2 potions can be made. Li Shu looked at the simulation description in front of him and said, "Simulate. Please choose your simulation ability." After selecting, the simulation will start. A string of abilities emerged, in different colors. Unknown terminal disease, purple, dreamers, white. Master Chef, blue, son of Odin, purple, falling into a box, white. Running like a horse, blue, blue stripes master, purple. 2-5 boys, blue. Li Shu quickly swept through all the abilities. There are 3 purples this time. One of them is the inherited, unknown terminal disease. The remaining 2 ability names made Li Shu's eyes shine. Good guy, doesn't seem to have seen the type. He looked at the 2 purple abilities, and a related explanation immediately emerged. Son of Odin, purple. You are actually the illegitimate child of Odin, who will find you right away and bring you back to Asgard. However, because you are a combination of Odin and human, your divine power is very weak. However, Odin will use his own divine blood to strengthen your divine power, and at the same time teach you Asgard's Protoss cultivation method to enhance your divine power. Seeing this ability, Li Shu was slightly taken aback. Good guy, after blessing this ability, he became Odin's illegitimate child. This ability can be regarded as tampering with fate, tampering with birth, and it belongs to an identity card. After clicking this ability, he should gain a new divine power, but it is very weak, at least many times weaker than Thor's power. After all, Thor's power is very strong from the beginning. It belongs to the existence of the next God King, and can go directly to the level Godfather, and even act as a leader among the level Godfather. So this should not be considered a benefit, the benefit should seem to be the other 2. That is, Odin will use his divine blood to strengthen his own divine power, but I don't know whether this strengthening is the set of divine power that comes with this ability alone, or is it strengthened together with the power of Thor on him. If you can strengthen the Thor's power on him, it will be comfortable. One is to teach him the cultivation method of the god race to enhance his divine power. God race cultivation method, this is something he doesn't know. However, since it can increase divine power, it seems that he must click on this ability. After all, he still has the power of Thor. Although he has a pain training method, it is mainly to enhance the strength of the body, to tap the ability of the body, and the increase of other supernatural powers is very small. He wants to enhance a supernatural ability, mainly relying on continuous use, and then gradually increasing. So this Protoss cultivation method can be looked at and learned. After reading Son of Odin, he turned to another purple ability, Blue Stripe Master. Master Blue Stripe, Purple. You are born with more mana than ordinary magician. This will undoubtedly greatly reduce your reliance on Beelzebub's power. You don't have to rely on demons and gods to show abilities like other magicians. Seeing this ability, Li Shu's eyes lit up. Good guy. This is equivalent to directly enhancing a wave of the upper limit of mana. The mana that is larger than the ordinary magician is still purple, and it seems that the increased mana should be a lot. His current mana can only barely fight a few times, and the endurance ability is not very good. If he has this ability, he should be able to improve the endurance ability a lot. After reading the purple ability, Li Shu glanced at the other abilities. After seeing one of the blue abilities, especially the description, Li Shu's mouth twitched. 2-5 boys, blue. You are a planetary spy, actually following Thanos. You will help him reach Earth and take away the infinite gems from the Avengers Alliance. Good guy. This is also an identity card. But the identity is the ball rape. Betray the Earth and help Thanos complete the half-world operation. Follow Thanos. This id card is really something. But this is not in Li Shu's choice. After all, there is a better purple ability. Li Shu glanced at unknown terminal illness, and after 7 years of strong cultivation, he died. Not knowing if he could find a way to delay or cure it this time, Li Shu always felt that this ability was not easy. After thinking for a while, Li Shu said, I choose the ability, Unknown Terminal Disease, Son of Odin, and Master Blue Stripe. Complete ability selection. Start a new simulation. Day 1. Because of your extraordinary ability, you are born with a huge mana that is different from ordinary people. This mana is equivalent to 100 years of hard work by others. Because of this huge mana, you can release most spells without relying on Mephisto, and can also form an effective combat ability. Seeing this, Li Shu's eyes lit up instantly. Good guy, 100 years of mana. The ability of this Blue Stripe Master is indeed something, and it directly gave him such a mana. You must know that after several times of cultivation, even if he is blessed by a magician again, his mana is about the same as that of an ordinary magician who has been practicing for 8 or 9 years. The addition of 100 years of mana this time is equivalent to directly increasing the current mana by more than 10 times. With this 100 years of mana, his magic battle endurance is much stronger, and magic can basically be on its own. At the same time, because of the blessing of more mana, the power of some magic will be greater. For example, in the mirror world, the scope he will be able to expand is even larger. You feel that the world is very dangerous, so you start to cultivate hard, and constantly improve yourself. You are working hard to cultivate your body, magic, and divine power. The 3rd day. You have a faint divine power, which is a kind of magic power. You can create illusions on others. However, the divine power is very weak. You can only create some very simple illusions, and you can't support it for too long. Illusion power looks similar to Loki's ability. It just shouldn't be as high as Loki's power cap. Day 5. Without the correct cultivation method, your divine power will grow slowly. You start to study your own divine power and want to find a way to increase your divine power, but your ability research is too weak to do it at all. You can only give up, and you can only let it gradually increase. Day 7. When you were cultivating, Odin found you and told you your true identity. You are the son of Odin. The reason why there is divine power in you is because you have his bloodline. He told you that the divine power in you will not be too strong, because you were born between him and human beings. However, he said that he will use his own divine blood to strengthen your divine power, making your upper limit higher, at least surpassing the average member of the ordinary Protoss. However, there are still many gaps from the pure blood royal family. After strengthening, your lifespan will also be improved a lot. At the same time, he also said that he will give you the royal cultivation method of the Acer Protoss, so that you can improve your divine power, tap your premise, and finally reach your upper limit and become a powerful Protoss warrior. Afterwards, Odin brought you back to Asgard, so you became the 3rd prince of Asgard. Day 8. Odin took out a drop of divine blood and wanted to strengthen your divine power, but he was surprised to find that there are two divine powers in your body. One is the weak illusion magic power, and the other is the power of Thor, and it is very powerful and pure. This moment confuses Odin. He can't even figure out why he has such a powerful and pure Thor power, a mixed race guy. And it is very similar to the ability of his second son Thor, and even the purity is extremely similar, that is to say, your upper limit is extremely high. Odin is very happy to receive this news. He has another powerful son. Asgard will be more powerful and prosperous. But at this moment, Odin is in a tangle, that is, whether to continue strengthening you. Strengthening your illusion magic has no effect. Strengthening your Thor's power will cost a lot of divine blood, which will cause huge amounts of influence to him in his old age, and even accelerate his death. In the end, Odin decided to strengthen you, because he is old and has no time to go, so he might as well use his last remaining heat. Besides, Odin was also surprised to find that your body is very powerful, and it seems that you have other super abilities. Your strength is beyond his imagination, even far beyond the current Thor, which makes Odin even happier. You are more determined to cultivate your ideas. However, if he wants to strengthen your Thor's power, he still needs to make some preparations, so he starts to teach you the cultivation method of the royal family. 9th day. You started to practice the royal cultivation method. Through cultivation, you can clearly feel that your divine power is rapidly increasing, which makes you very excited, and you continue to practice hard. At the same time, the entire Asgard knows the existence of the third prince, and also knows that the third prince has extraordinary abilities. His ability is comparable to that of the eldest prince Thor, and his strength is even stronger, even second only to the king of gods. The whole Asgard is very happy, saying that God's domain will have a new level godfather in the future. Everyone is even discussing who will become the new king of God's domain between you and Thor. Day 10. After your hard training and the help of the gravity room, your ultimate strength has been raised again by 15 tons. The total limit of strength has reached 2015 tons. Li Shu's eyes lit up. 15 tons in 10 days, it seems that the upper limit brought by Thor's power is really high. With a little practice, it was 15 tons, surpassing the previous record of 10 tons in the previous 10 days. And that is the effect of blessing. Heaven's way rewards diligence. I don't know what kind of power his power will reach after this simulation. Day 24. Odin's strengthening materials have been prepared. He is ready to strengthen you, and he is looking forward to you after strengthening. You are also looking forward to Odin's strengthening for you. After all, this strengthening, your Thor's power will be stronger and purer, the upper limit will be raised, and the power will become stronger. Odin started strengthening for you. He cut open his wrists, and the divine blood flowed out from it, in which divine light overflowed, containing powerful and majestic power. The power of blood has shocked you. It is too majestic and powerful. To you, the power contained in a drop of blood is like a majestic ocean. The power of level Godfather is indeed beyond your imagination, not to mention the leader Odin. The divine blood of Odin rushes into your body and rushes into the Protoss DNA of Thor's power in your body. These divine blood turns into a majestic force and begins to strengthen your Thordna. The information of life in your Thordna has become more majestic and powerful, and continues to strengthen. The power of thunder in it has become more and more pure and powerful, and your godhead is continuously strengthening. You can clearly feel your Thor's total power has not increased, but the quality does constantly increase. On your body, blazing white thunder erupts. Your eyes completely turn blazing white, and thunder jumps in it. At this moment, you are the living Thor. Your strength has caused a vision. Above the sky of Asgard, there is a sea of thunders that is completely composed of thunders. There are no clouds, only thunders. Countless thunders are intertwined in it like wandering dragons. They all felt this terrifying vision. Such a terrifying thunderbolt, and the entire divine realm has the power of thunderbolt. Only you and Thor, they are all guessing who caused this vision. Thor also saw the vision of the heaven of the gods, and the whole person was extremely shocked. He knew that the Father was strengthening your divine power, but he did not expect that this strengthening would bring such a terrifying vision. He suddenly felt that he might be better than him, on you. Shortly after the strengthening is over, you can clearly feel that your Thor's power has gained a lot of strength, and the closer the essence is stronger, you understand that your upper limit has been raised, and your upper limit has become more powerful. The level Godfather goes a step further. At the same time, your lifespan is increased by another 1,000 years, and you currently have a lifespan of 6,000 years. Level Godfather, the gap is also quite big. As long as you have the power of Starburst, and the power is strong enough to destroy a planet, you are considered a level Godfather. But blasting a star is a blast, and blasting a bunch of stars is also a blast, all of which are starbursts, and the gap is indeed huge amounts of. After all, Destroying the solar system is definitely much more powerful than destroying an ordinary planet. If it destroys a galaxy, it is even more the difference between cloud and mud. So the ceiling can be raised again, with a stronger ceiling, which makes Li Shu feel a burst of joy. And the lifespan has also increased again because of this strengthening. Another 1,000 years of life. On the other hand, Odin, because of this strengthening, the whole person has become very weak, and you can even feel that the light in the other party's eyes has dissipated a lot. Because of the bloodline effect, you were a little touched by Odin's behavior, and warm emotions emerged, and you sincerely said thank you. Seeing this, Li Shu touched his chin slightly. The reason for the bloodline made him feel inexplicable in his heart. Good guy. This is also the influence of ability. Emotions and even feelings are generated due to the close bloodline. It seems that the identity card cannot be solidified into reality. After all, it will affect emotions and feelings. But simulation doesn't matter. Li Shu continued to look down. Odin just smiled. He said that he only hoped that you could become a talent and be interested in Asgard, and said that the future will be handed over to your brothers. After speaking, Odin left, but his body became more haggard, and he no longer had the demeanor of a god king. Then Thor found you and wanted to learn from you, but you just beat him easily with one hand. Thor is autistic and begins to temper himself frantically. The fact that you easily defeated Thor spread quickly throughout Asgard, and countless members of the Protoss have developed respect for you. After all, Thor is the god of war in Asgard. Some people even think that you can become the new king of gods, although your bloodline is so pure. Definitely, more people still oppose it. After all, Thor is the orthodox. A small part of the Aesir gods began to gather around you, do things for you, serve you as masters, follow you, and you began to have your own power in Asgard. Second month. The effect of the royal cultivation method is very good. Through this period of cultivation, your Thor power has made a lot of progress, and the Thor power in your body is more abundant and surging. If it was a river before, it is now a big river. In addition, your excavation of physical strength has not stopped, so now, your ultimate strength has not been small, and it has increased by 75 tons. The total limit of strength has reached 2,090 tons. Besides, you saw another way to enhance super ability from the royal cultivation method to enhance divine power, so you started to research a new way to enhance super ability. But you finally failed. Your research ability is too poor. But you didn't give up. You found an opportunity and went back to Earth. You handed over the royal cultivation method to Tony, and asked him to study the royal cultivation method and help come up with the super ability enhancement method. Your friendship with Tony is not what it used to be. He happily agreed to your request and offered to help you study, but soon, the joy turned into pain. Even if Tony is a genius, it is extremely difficult to study the cultivation method of the royal family, and it even greatly affects the time he spends picking girls and fooling around, which makes Tony extremely regretful for agreeing to you easily. Although Tony regrets and suffers a lot, he still insisted on fulfilling his promise as a brother, and he worked hard to help you study the royal cultivation method. Through research, Tony found that the idea of super ability enhancement method is feasible and achievable, so he continued to study. The research progress of the super ability enhancement method is very slow, but it is indeed progressing steadily. See here. Li Shu couldn't help but smile. It was Tony again. It really is to catch a sheep every time, and it is not boring at all. Tony really is the best bro worker ever. Looking at the painful and regretful Tony in the simulation, Li Shu couldn't help but sigh. Tony is really upright and loyal, and he will never lose his chain at a critical moment. At the same time, he also had some expectations that Tony could come up with a super ability enhancement method, and his super ability enhancement would be much faster, just like divine power. Without the cultivation method, the growth is just a turtle speed, and it may take thousands of years or even tens of thousands of years to reach the level Godfather. But with the cultivation method, it may be possible to rush up in a few decades. After you returned to Earth, you also found Gwen to catch up with Wanda, but you didn't spend too much time on the relationship between your children, so you returned to Asgard to continue practicing. In addition to normal cultivation, you also began to learn how to control the power of the rainbow. Once you can master this power, you can successfully cross the Star Sea and descend to any position in the 9 realms. The reason for learning this power is not only that it was originally a very good teleportation ability, but also that the main medicine for prolonging life is the blood of dragon in Muspelheim, the place where the flames start. You wanted to use a substitute medicine before, but now that you have the opportunity to get the main medicine, there is no need to use a substitute to reduce the effect of the medicine. Month 4. The gods around you also found out that you were doing physical exercise. In response, they all said that cultivating divine power is the right way. The effect of physical cultivation is too slow and the effect is not good. You ignore their voices and focus on yourself. Through this period of cultivation, your Thor power has increased again, and other powers have also been increased in different degrees. In addition, with the further weakening of Odin, Asgard began to discuss who would become the heir to the throne. It used to be Thor, but Thor was deprived of it because of his mistakes, and now the heir to the throne is still empty. Most people think that the heir to the throne is Thor, because of his orthodox blood, but a few people think that the heir to the throne is you, because your strength is too powerful, far surpassing Thor. Odin on the throne is also watching you and Thor, deciding who will become the new heir to the throne. However, over time, more Aesir members began to follow you, because you were strong and kind to others. Your influence in Asgard is greater, but it is still much smaller than that of Thor, and more people follow him. 13th month. Through hard training, your Thor power has made considerable progress, and the power is even stronger. Your previous Thor's power allowed you to destroy a few mountains at most, then your current Thor's power is enough to easily destroy a city. Besides, you have cultivated your body hard, and your ultimate strength has also increased by huge amounts of 495 tons, and the total value of your ultimate strength has reached 2,585 tons. The sudden surge of strength and diligence makes you very happy. Seeing this, the corners of Li Shu's mouth twitched slightly. This increase, he looked cool. At the same time, Jotunheim, there was a riot in the country of ice, and the other party wanted to attack Asgard. This news made the people of Asgard feel a sense of crisis in their hearts. Because of your bloodline, plus your life and practice during this period, and the followers of the gods, you have a sense of belonging to Asgard, so you asked Odin to ask for battle, and you expressed your willingness to go to Jotunheim to quell the riots, protect the realm. Definitely, another reason is that your strength has grown, and you need actual combat to simulate and consolidate your strength and turn it into a powerful combat force. Your move has won the favor of many people, even those who do not agree with your bloodline have expressed their admiration for you. You then led a group of Asgard warriors to Jotunheim. The Frost King has fallen. Jotunheim has almost no rivals for you. You led the soldiers to suppress this riot with absolute attitude. You returned triumphantly, gained a lot of prestige, and some more people followed you. You seem to have the momentum of becoming a real king. Because of this battle, Odin, in order to reward you, is going to teach you the power of the rainbow himself, and teach you the deeper usage of the power of the rainbow. He tells you that the power of the rainbow has unimaginable destructive power in addition to teleportation. He told that by releasing the power of the rainbow through Bifrost, even a planet can be easily destroyed. This is an extremely destructive force that you must use with caution. You indicated that you would use this power very carefully. Odin then began to teach you the power of the rainbow, and under Odin's personal teaching, you learn the power of the rainbow by leaps and bounds. Through Odin's teaching, you also understand how to create rainbow power, and how to communicate and use Asgard's huge almost constant rainbow power. Both are rainbow powers, but one is the rainbow power you made yourself, and the other is the rainbow power that Asgard originally had. The power of the rainbow is a powerful force created by the royal power of the Aesir royal family through secret techniques. Asgard originally had the power of the rainbow, originally from the Asgard god's domain, and through the god's domain, the power was continuously transmitted to Bifrost and transformed into the power of the rainbow. You can use your Thor's power to create rainbow power to achieve teleportation and destruction, but it consumes a lot of money, and the destructive power of this rainbow power is proportional to your original strength. The stronger you are, the stronger the rainbow power you release. Comparatively, the rainbow power that Asgard originally possessed is extremely powerful, and relying on Asgard, it can easily explode the power to destroy the planet. However, Asgard's rainbow power, unless Odin allows or uses the sword of Bifrost, it cannot be 100% effective. Use the rainbow power of Asgard to teleport at most. Month 15. You have officially mastered the method of making rainbow power, and at the same time, you have learned how to use Asgard's rainbow power method. You communicated directly with Asgard's rainbow power, and sent yourself to Muspelheim in the land of flames. You successfully found Dragon, successfully defeated it, and obtained the blood of the fire dragon from it. The blood of the fire dragon is extremely hot, and there is even a flame burning on it, like hot lava. You use your ice power to seal the dragon's blood. With the blood of the fire dragon, you can go back to Earth to make life-extending potions. Just as you were about to leave, Surta, the lord of the land of flames, appeared. It is very surprising that you have a huge power of Thor. You are obviously not Thor. After a short period of surprise, Surta launched an attack on you, because he smelled the blood of the Protoss from your body. Faced with Surta's attack, you thought you could easily resist it. After all, the opponent has lost the eternal fire, and his strength has already fallen to the altar, and his strength is no longer the same. As a result, you didn't expect that without the eternal fire's Surta, he would still be extremely powerful, even on par with yours. Faced with such a powerful Surta, you can't help but suspect that the reason why this guy was able to be defeated by Thor later, I am afraid that he was hiding himself, was defeated by Thor on purpose, and then was brought into Asgard, waiting for the opportunity to create Ragnarok. However, Surta is even more surprised than you. He didn't expect that he could not suppress a junior with all his strength, and he was still a mixed race guy. Although he no longer has the eternal fire, he is, after all, a guy who used to be on par with Odin in power. He should have been able to suppress the younger generation, but he didn't expect to meet you, a monster. A mixed race guy has such a powerful power, you are terrified, Surta. Surta said, you are a very strong guy, you will definitely be able to reach the height of Odin in the future. But you can't live to that time. When Surta was speaking, you activated the power of the rainbow, and instantly exploded with amazing attack power, directly blasting Surta into the air and knocking him out. Then you summoned the rainbow power of Asgard and returned to Asgard. Dragon and fire demon servants looked at Surta who had passed out, and they all looked at each other, and finally fell into silence. Your success in defeating Surta was taken into account by Bifrost Guardian Heimdall. Soon, the news spread throughout the entire divine realm, causing a shock to roar. Although Surta was severely suppressed by Odin, it is Surta after all, the lord of the land of flames. The skinny camel is bigger than the horse. You beat him. It is really shocking a lot of people. Your reputation in Asgard has been improved again, you are following more, and you are even catching up with Thor. When Li Shu saw this, a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. He has now learned the power of the rainbow, and after the simulation is over, he can go to the land of flames, obtain dragon's blood, and make a full-effect life-extending potion. He doesn't have to be reluctant anymore. 16th month. You return to Earth, and successfully produce the beauty-preserving potion and the life-extending potion, which were given to Gwen and Wanda, and you also took them yourself. 2 kinds of medicine can only be taken once, and it will not be effective if taken again. After doing this, you found Tony and asked him about the super ability enhancement method. The first thing you notice is Tony's dark circles. You only know when you ask. In order to help you develop the super ability enhancement method, Tony spent a lot of time on it, often staying up late, so dark circles appeared. Tony also told you that the progress of developing the super ability enhancement method is very slow, and at this point, the progress is probably less than half. The development difficulty of the super ability enhancement method makes you sigh. Even for a genius like Tony, it took so long to develop less than half of it. At the same time, Tony's responsibility and loyalty also moved you quite a bit. So, you handed him a fairy bean, and said that at the most critical moment in the future, you can use this bean to save your life. Li Shu smacked his tongue slightly when he saw this. Tony was too responsible. Is this the benefit of being Tony's best friend? Since he became a friend, every time he asked him for help, he never dropped the chain, and this time he didn't even go to pick up girls. When Li Shu saw the section of Shendu, he thought of the scene where Tony finally sacrificed his life. But since he's here now, it's not like Tony will die in the final battle in the future. 18th month. You have not pulled down on magic. Your duplication technique Aiken shape has also been improved, and the number of duplications you can divide has increased from 5 to 7. At the same time, because your total mana has greatly increased now, these duplications of yours can last longer. The improvement of the shape of Aiken has increased your strength a lot again. This means that you can let 8 of yourself fight at the same time, and the combat power is more powerful. 22nd month. 2 years have passed, you have made various military exploits in Asgard constantly, and your reputation is gradually improving. Apart from your bloodline, your reputation has crushed Thor in other respects. If you are of pure blood, maybe the entire Asgard people will support you as the heir to the throne. But even so, even if you have the disadvantage of blood, but with your powerful military exploits, you have already followed as many as the Crucian carp crossing the river, and your power has leveled up with Thor. Your reputation has spread throughout the 9 realms, even surpassing Thor. The outside world even began to call you Roar, the little god king, little Odin, to express their affirmation of your strength. In order to reward you, Odin allows you to enter the Odin treasury to choose a treasure. This is the first time you have come to Asgard and entered the Odin treasury. The treasures in it almost dazzle you, making you wonder what to choose for a while. Soon, your attention is placed on a mysterious stone tablet. You know this thing, the mysterious stone tablet of life, but you don't know its effect. You asked Odin, he told the origin and function of this steel. The life card comes from the ancient civilization that has disappeared on the Earth, and the life evolution equation of biological evolution is engraved on it. According to the evolution equation of the life card, the biological evolution can be made. The royal family practice method has been greatly improved from absorbing the knowledge on the stone tablet, making it more efficient. In addition, Odin also tells you that this stone tablet of life is actually a fragment of the real stone tablet of life. The complete stone tablet is called the Tablet of Life and Time, and it has more secrets of evolution and even time. However, he only collected such a fragment of the stone tablet, and he did not find the others. After listening to Odin's words, your eyes light up slightly. The royal cultivation method absorbs knowledge nutrients from the stone tablet and becomes the current cultivation method. If Tony can obtain the stone tablet and analyze the evolutionary knowledge on it, it will definitely speed up the effect of the super ability enhancement method. At the same time, you are also interested in the complete monument of life and time. A piece of debris has created the current practice of the royal family, the complete steel of life, and the evolutionary knowledge contained in it will be more. Ultimately, you decide, you want the steel of life. Odin has some doubts about your decision, but he still gave you the fragments of the life stone tablet. You returned to Earth and gave Tony the fragments of the steel of life, and asked him to analyze the fragments of the steel of life and learn the evolutionary knowledge on them. Tony analyzed the fragments of life stone tablets through Jarvis, and he obtained part of the knowledge on the fragments. By learning this knowledge, Thor's cognition of evolution has improved by leaps and bounds, which has also accelerated his development of the super ability enhancement method, and said that he will further strengthen the effect of the enhancement method. Tony said, he will give you a more complete super ability enhancement method later. After getting this news, you are very happy, and at the same time you are very glad that you chose the fragments of the life stone tablet instead of other things. At the same time, this also makes you more interested in the complete life stone tablet. Tony's knowledge has obtained such an effect by deciphering part of the knowledge on the stone tablet, if it is complete. After doing this, you return to Asgard. Your subordinates and followers found you and took you to the banquet. This is a celebration dinner for your followers. You immediately followed them and went to the banquet. Soon, you appeared on the high platform in front of a huge amount of square, but on this square, filled with various delicacies and wines, it was full of people. The whole banquet was very lively, with staggered pilgrimages, and people were all smiles. When you arrived, the scene fell silent instantly. Everyone looked at you, and their eyes were full of admiration and enthusiasm. Here, you are the future king in these people's minds, you are their future heaven, and they are full of reverence and love for you. They are even willing to go through fire and water for you. Everyone stood up from their seats, picked up their wine. Chi-Chi-Gao Roar thanked His Royal Highness for his splendid military exploits. The sound was like a tidal wave, resounding almost half of the Asgard god realm. The scene was extraordinarily magnificent. Countless people toasted for you. Their eyes were eager, they were roar for you, and the momentum was overwhelming. When you see the followers in the square and your own people, you are also excited, proud, and you also hold a glass of wine. You shout to everyone, your voice is like a bell, respect Asgard, respect you, respect the future. Countless people listened to your voice, and the eagerness in their eyes became more intense, and they responded with more intense emotions and voices. Respect Asgard, respect your highness, respect the future. Then you all take a sip of the wine in the cup. You laughed out loud at the banquet, scolded Fang Chu, and you were incomparably high-spirited. At this moment, the whole excitement of Asgard belongs to you. And the loneliness was left to Thor, who was practicing asceticism. He listened to the mighty sound and the eager roar shouts of countless people, and a trace of bitterness appeared on Thor's face. The mighty voice resounded almost through most of Asgard. This mighty and loud voice attracted countless people's eyes and was amazed. At this time, the entire Asgard realized that your cohesion with your followers has reached an incredible level, and you seem like a born king. Among Asgard, many people see you and hope you can reach new heights. After this huge banquet, your reputation has reached a new peak, and more people have begun to follow you. It seems that you are only one chance away from becoming the new heir to the throne. But there are still some people in the god realm who are not optimistic about you. After all, they think how the mixed blood of god and man can become the king of the god race. Not only Asgard, but other places in the 9 realms feel the same way. After all, there has never been a precedent for a mixed blood to become a king. At most, a mixed blood becomes a general of all walks of life and belongs to the pure blood royal family. Although they call you Roar a little Odin or a little king of gods, that is all in awe of your strength, not your origin. And a small god king, it means that you are just a small god king, and there will always be a real god king on it. Odin now, then Thor in the future, and your greatest possibility is to become the strongest god of war in Asgard, instead of ascending the throne. 23rd month. Through this period of constant practice, your Thor power has been greatly enhanced. In addition, by digging the ultimate strength of the body, your ultimate strength has increased by 450 tons. the total ultimate strength has increased to 3,025 tons. In addition, through the continuous development of super ability during this period, your supervision and superhearing have also been improved, from a radius of 15 kilometers to a radius of 17 kilometers. 24th month. You return to New York City, because the spider virus is about to break out, and the Spider Queen will appear. You want to know how strong the Spider Queen at the top is. Before, the people of the motherland were defeated in the face of the Spider Queen, and you are stronger than the motherland now, so you want to know the true strength of the Spider Queen, and now you can defeat her. There is another important reason why you dare to challenge each other, that is, you can electrify, and even if you fail to challenge, you can immediately escape. Once you turn into electricity, you don't think the Spider Queen can catch you. 25th month. Finally, the spider flu broke out, the entire New York City fell quickly, and one person after another became a spider monster. Soon, the Spider Queen appeared, her strength increased rapidly, and after reaching a certain point, she became a huge spider like a mountain. Countless superheroes rushed to New City and launched an attack on the Spider Queen, but unfortunately, no one was her opponent, and even Hulk was easily beaten away. Facing this terrifying monster in the rapidly falling New York City, the whole society fell into an unprecedented panic. At this time, a native of the motherland stood in front of the media, with a confident look on his face, and he said that he would solve this trouble. The appearance of the people of the motherland instantly inspired the hearts of the whole country and rescued countless people from panic. After all, the people of the motherland are the strongest heroes in the world. Under the announcement of the water company, they are almost like gods in the world. Since their debut, they have not failed. The natives left Watchung and came to New York City, followed by a few helicopters following him. On the battlefield, a superhero attacked the Spider Queen, but it was useless and could not hurt the opponent one bit. Seeing the arrival of the people of the motherland, those superheroes' hearts overflowed with joy, and the savior came. He did not rush to attack the enemy, but stood in the air, facing the camera, with his hands behind his back, his face extremely confident. He opened his hand and said that as long as he is here, the imperialists are absolutely safe, everyone can go out at will, and there is no need to worry about things in New York City, the imperialists are not in danger. People in front of TVs, computers, and mobile phones smiled and breathed a sigh of relief when they listened to the words of the motherland. After the motherland's show was over, he launched an attack on the Spider Queen. He exploded with 1,000-ton power and slammed into the Spider Queen. The fist seemed to tear the space apart, with a violent roar whistle, setting off a violent wave. Seeing that amazing scene, everyone smiled, and the big stone in their hearts was finally put down. As long as there are people from the motherland, the imperialists will not have any problems. With a loud bang, the motherland punched the Spider Queen with a punch. For a moment, nothing happened. The Spider Queen did not fall down as everyone expected, or burst open, but stood in place, attacking other superhero on her own. However, this punch from the motherland made the Spider Queen quiet, and turned her head slightly to look at the motherland. When they saw that the terrifying punch of the motherland did not succeed, countless people behind the camera were horrified, and people never thought that such an incident would happen. There is an uproar in the United States. The Spider Queen and the motherland looked at each other with big eyes and small eyes. There was also a trace of panic on the face of the motherland, and he immediately burst into hot eyes and shot at the Spider Queen's eyes. The Spider Queen closed rows of eyes, but she finally suffered from pain, roared for a while, and immediately launched an attack on the motherland. Boom. The people of the motherland were directly bombed to the ground. It hasn't stopped yet, the huge spider legs are constantly bombarding the ground. Boom boom boom. The motherland was directly beaten and vomited blood. This scene made everyone in front of the camera collapse. Hey! The people of the motherland seized an opportunity and fled the battlefield directly, never to return. This scene made people fall into despair. People did not expect that the strongest heroes were defeated. You are watching all this from not far away, and you have a little understanding of the strength of the Spider Queen. Initiating such a strong attack on the people of the motherland, they did not kill the people of the motherland, which means that the Spider Queen has not been promoted to level Godfather, and probably belongs to the level of destroying the city to the level of destroying the country, and has not yet reached the point of destroying the country with one blow. After you have some idea in your mind, you fly out and land in front of the Spider Queen. You ask everyone to step back, and then leave it to you. Many people in front of the camera do not know you, but many people recognize you, White Spider. However, they are not happy because of your arrival. After all, the strongest heroes have all lost, so what's the use of you coming? Those superheroes saw you and chose to retreat. After all, you are stronger than most heroes. You can create the existence of several hundred meters of ice swords, and they do not want to be accidentally injured. People retreat. you start, and terrifying thunder bursts out from your body, rushing in all directions like a spider web. The whole world seems to be flooded with thunder. The scene is a bit grand and shocked countless people. This is the remarkable result after your successful cultivation in Odin's strengthening and Asgard. You turned into a thunderbolt and burst out, and a punch surrounded by countless thunders slammed into the Spider Queen. Boom. With a terrifying loud noise, the Spider Queen flew out and collapsed many high-rise buildings. Countless rumblings sounded, New York City was shaking, and the sky was filled with smoke and dust. That scene is extremely spectacular and shocking. This scene made everyone in front of the camera silent and sluggish. You are hardly looked up to by anyone, but you burst out with such a shocking power with one punch, shocking everyone in front of the camera, including every superhero present. All the superhero watched this scene sluggishly. Countless monsters who could not shake the sky even a little bit were blasted away by you, knocking down one high-rise building after another. After a moment of silence, the whole world was in an uproar, and thousands of people made a sensation. Countless people stood up straight from the spot, trembling all over. At this moment, the name of the White Spider is destined to be resounding all over the world. At this moment, the blood of countless people began to boil. They did not expect that this world would actually be the savior who could turn the tide. Everyone is at this moment, because your scalp is numb, and you are shaking with excitement, as if you have seen a real god. Countless people stared at the camera and stared at the person standing in midair covered in lightning. At this moment, there is only one thought in their minds, that is, the god of thunder, the best in the world. You don't know, the whole world is watching you. Your focus is on your own fists, you feel the majestic power, and your cultivation is very successful. The enemy that was once out of reach is now flying out under your fist, you have really grown too much. The huge spider climbed up and looked at you with its dense eyes, all of which were vicious. With a roar, a huge mountain of spiders gallops towards you, smashing the buildings, as easily as smashing tofu. Facing the rampant Spider Queen, you stood quietly in place, without the slightest movement, except that the thunder on your body exploded even more and roared even more, like a splendid sound. You are not doing nothing, you are just accumulating your own strength and launching a fatal blow. You want to use a peak strike to decide the outcome with the Spider Queen. If you win, the opponent will die. If you lose, you will stop fighting and retire immediately, because the test effect you want has been achieved. There is no point in you fighting anymore, because soon little Spider-Man will come on stage, he will inject serum into countless monsters, and finally eliminate the source of the Spider Queen's power. For the Spider Queen without power, you have no desire to fight at all. In front of the camera, looking at the Spider Queen who is getting closer and closer, and looking at the white spider who is motionless as a mountain, the hearts of countless people are instantly twitched, and their hearts are afraid. Everyone is shouting in front of the camera roar, I hope you move quickly, they are afraid that you will die in the hands of the Spider Queen. Everyone is stomping their feet in front of the camera, mad and scared, they want you to move quickly. The Spider Queen is getting closer and closer to you, and everyone begins to collapse. At this moment, your accumulated strength finally reached the limit, and you started. Over New York City, the sky instantly darkened, and countless thunder and lightning were looming in it, like a dragon. Abruptly, a loud noise that shook the sky almost shattered everyone's eardrums. In the sky, countless thunder and lightning crashed down, all of them smashed towards you, as if all the thunder in the sky and the earth gathered in you. At this moment, the sky and the earth are bright, only a huge amount of dazzling thunder, blazing white dazzling. In the thunder, there are repeated vague figures. At this moment, it was as if a god came into the world, illuminating the whole world, and the scene was extremely shocking. This scene shocked all the jumpers, and they felt as if their eyes were going blind. They vaguely saw the intersection of the endless lightning, that incomparably white and dazzling center, and it seemed that a hand was slowly raised. A voice resounded between heaven and earth, only one word, death. Afterwards, the surging and mighty rainbow light rushed out from the center of the blazing white and dazzling, rushing towards the Spider Queen. There is almost no sound, almost everything happens in an instant, everything is fleeting. The next moment, all the rays of light disappeared, and the white and dazzling center was empty. Looking at the place where the rainbow light leapt before, countless people in front of the camera sucked in a breath of cold air, their scalps tingling. I saw that over there, the ruined land where the Spider Queen was located has been completely annihilated, and an incomparably huge long pit appeared, almost 1/10 of the appearance of New York City. The long pit also extends out of the city, forming a more vast and boundless long pit on the outskirts of the city, almost one of the three looks like New York City. Above the long pit, everything is annihilated, only empty nothingness. The huge spider also disappeared without a trace, leaving no trace, as if it never existed. The terrifying destructive power shocked everyone. After a long silence, countless people on this planet are boiling. There is only one word in their mouths, and that is God. You have become the God in everyone's mouth, the real Thor. Although you have disappeared, you have left behind the boiling of the world. Countless people are discussing you, and it seems that you are the only topic left in this world. People from the motherland saw this scene on TV, and the whole person was stunned in front of the camera. He never thought that there is someone stronger than him in this world. He never imagined that there are people in this world who can create such terrifying destruction, and the people of the motherland are completely gone. Iron Man and Wanda were completely dumbfounded when they saw this scene. They did not expect that you would have such a devastating power that a single blow could almost shatter a super large city. The whole world is boiling, but this boiling is only lacking one person, and that is the protagonist White Spider. He quietly came and quietly left, and made great achievements in the world, but left floating. Silently disappearing like this has not weakened people's madness towards you at all. They are more curious about you, more eager, regard you as an idol, regard you as a god, and even want new city to erect a monument for you, replacing the Statue of Liberty as the most popular strong landmark. After you finish the test, you return to Asgard, because you have verified your own strength. You don't care about the boiling outside, you continue to practice. Li Shu's eyelids twitched when he saw the amazing power he had exploded. The result of this strengthening and cultivation is also fierce. 'Cause such amazing damage. Immediately, a smile appeared on Li Shu's face. 47th month. After this period of penance, your Thor's power has come a step closer, and your Thor's power has become stronger. At the same time, after continuous excavation of the body, your ultimate strength has gained huge amounts of increase, soaring by 1080 tons, and the total limit strength has increased to 4105 tons. You are about to enter the 5000-ton mark, and you are very happy. Your mana has been steadily improving after this period of cultivation. Your only regret is that you have learned too little high-level magic. You still want to find a chance and go to Ancient One to learn some advanced level magic. In addition, according to the news you got, Tony's super ability enhancement method is almost completed, and you will be able to get a super ability enhancement method soon. At that time, your super ability will grow faster, your super vision, super hearing, ice ability, etc. will be able to become stronger faster, you will be able to see farther and hear farther. As expected of the Thor ability that can directly reach the level Godfather, it is indeed very powerful. This strength has risen, it is simply amazing, hundreds of thousands of tons. It will soon reach the 5,000-ton mark. When the 5,000-ton mark is reached, will the 10,000-ton mark be far behind? In the movie, Superman, who came back to life after passing through the mother box, is probably a 10,000-ton level existence. Thinking that he will soon reach this level, Li Shu's heart surged with excitement. 48th month. The successor to the royal power has not yet been decided, and it seems that there is still a chance. You are in full swing in Asgard, almost 1/3 of them have embraced you. The remaining third has no feelings for you, and the remaining third thinks that your blood is impure and cannot inherit the throne of the King of God and become the King of Asgard. The outside world is also very curious about who will be the successor to Asgard's royal power. However, in the eyes of most people, the inheritance of the throne by the blood of the Orthodox royal family seems justified. And the mixed blood will become the capable general of the new king. You turn a deaf ear to these words, and all you can hear is that 1/3 of the Asgard Protoss follow you, their eager swarms and high roar. You only know that you will make the remaining 1/3 high roar your name and silence the remaining 1/3. Then, you will ascend to the throne, you will become the only king of Asgard, you will inherit the authority of your father in the 9 realms and become the new king of God. Finally, the opportunity came. 49th month. The news of the birth of TIE particles, which can turn the world into darkness, spread throughout the 9 worlds, causing panic in the 9 worlds. After all, many years ago, the Dark Elves used TIE particles to darken the entire 9 realms and devour all living beings, causing an unprecedented turmoil and disaster. So the incident of TIE particles again touched the nerves of many creatures in the 9 realms. Before anyone could react, even more amazing news came out, that is, the King of Dark Elves got the ether energy. Moreover, the spectacle of the 9 realms being connected in a single line is also coming. Once it arrives, the entire 9 realms will open the corresponding space wormholes, connecting the entire 9 realms together. That is to say, the Dark Elf King can devour the entire 9 realms at one time with external energy. The terrifying news came to the ears of countless creatures in the 9 realms, and countless creatures shivered and feared at this moment. Soon, the spectacle of the 9 realms forming a line appeared. Huge amounts of wormholes appeared in the sky above the 9 worlds, and through those wormholes, the creatures of the 9 worlds could see the conditions of the other 8 worlds. This scene made countless people terrified. What's even more frightening is that black and red ether energy flew out from each wormhole and rushed to each world. Those energies carried a terrifying aura of destruction and could devour all living beings. Behind the wormhole, standing is the king of dark elves. He is still fighting with Thor at the moment, but Thor is not an opponent yet, and it seems that no one can stop the king of dark elves. Everyone was even more terrified when they saw this scene. At this moment, a figure full of lightning appeared behind the wormhole and in front of the dark elf king. A cold voice sounded at that moment, death. As if history were reappearing, a grand rainbow light burst out, rushing towards the king of dark elves, who was enveloped in ether energy. You understand, the opportunity has come, your name will hang high in the 9 realms, and you will become the new king. Definitely, after the lightning-filled figure appeared, many creatures from the 9 realms recognized the other party. After all, the other party was the 3rd prince of Asgard, almost the most famous person under Odin. None of them thought that you would appear here, let alone that you would meet the dark elf king with ether energy. However, almost no one is optimistic about you, because the other party has ether energy that devours everything. Everyone is desperate when they see the ether energy. It seems that the previous disaster that swept the 9 realms is about to begin again. Countless people trembled in the 9 realms. Asgard's people also saw this scene. 1/3 of the people who don't want you to ascend to the throne are all sighing. They just don't agree with your ascending the throne, but most people still have a sense of awe for you. They don't want an excellent of Protoss warriors sacrificed. The silent third sees this and sweats for you. They are afraid that you will die under the etheric energy. They originally had a good impression of you and didn't want to die here. Furthermore, you are a strong Asgard. If you are dead, then no one can block the ether energy. At the same time, they also hope that you can do this. After all, you were invincible before, and for the first time, they hoped that you could create a miracle. 1/3 of the people who follow you are all full of eagerness, and they are looking forward to your great power. Be optimistic about you. Only 1/3 of your followers are too few compared to those from the 9 realms. But the next scene completely reversed everyone's thoughts. You exploded with the power of the rainbow, rushing towards the Dark Elf King who has not yet grown up with terrifying destructive power. Dark Elf King looked at you, just sneered 10 times, and directly launched the ether energy to rush towards you, wanting to devour you completely. In the end, the two forces collided. However, you are obviously superior. The power of the rainbow directly broke through the ether energy that did not grow, and rushed towards the Dark Elf King. The other party didn't even have time to startle Roar's scream, and was directly engulfed by the power of the rainbow. After the rainbow light disappeared, there was nothing left in place, everything disappeared. The originally feared Dark Elves were completely annihilated. Seeing this scene, all the creatures in the 9 realms were shocked. No one imagined that you would be able to defeat the Dark Elf King with etheric energy. This is really shocking everyone's attention. After all, in their opinion, no matter how strong a junior is, it is impossible to defeat a king who is one of the 9 realms with an artifact. As a result, the reality is like this. You suddenly appeared, and with just one blow, the strong enemy was wiped out. This power and means are beyond everyone's imagination. Afterwards, the spectacle of the 9 worlds connecting together disappeared, the wormhole disappeared, and your figure behind the wormhole disappeared. Although your figure disappeared in front of the 9 realms, your figure was also engraved into the hearts of many living beings. There is no doubt that through this battle, you made yourself famous again and became a hero of the 9 realms. You seized the opportunity, and before the ether energy had absorbed too much life, in front of the world, you solved everything with a devastation-like attitude. At the same time, seeing you solve the crisis of the 9 realms with one blow, everyone in Asgard was silent, still in shock and unable to extricate themselves. Even your followers didn't expect that you would be so fierce, and as soon as you appeared, you directly dealt with the other party, so neatly that it was outrageous. But under a moment of silence, your followers erupted into a warm joy roar, and their eyes were even more eager, because you killed a king, and killed the Dark Elf King who held the energy since then. Killed the existence that once scared the 9 realms. The silent third sees this, and the despair and fear are instantly swept away, and their eyes look at you with a little more eagerness. You are truly invincible. These people also pronounce high roar, and they also high roar your name. 1/3 of the opponents are silent when they see this, but their eyes are a little more complicated. After all, this time, you not only saved Asgard, but also saved the 9 realms. At this moment, the voice of the whole Asgard is extraordinarily unified, and there is only one voice, and that is Gao roar, your name, At this moment, the voice of doubt has completely disappeared. 2/3 of the Asgard people are calling you in roar. Your reputation has reached an unprecedented level, and more than half of the people are eagerly calling you in roar. When you return to Asgard, the boiling sound of the entire Asgard reaches its peak, and the entire Asgard is the voice of roar calling you. Everyone is looking at you eagerly, beckoning to you, raising your roar with you, holding flowers for you, blooming firework for you. At this moment, God's domain is very lively, just like the festival, it's all because of you. Then, the appearance of Odin raised the excitement to a new level. In front of the entire Asgard, he raised your hand and announced you as the next heir to the throne. The entire divine realm is full of lively voices, boiling voices, and the voices of doubts are so small that they can be ignored. You have become the first god-human mixed-race successor to Asgard, and you will be the first to ascend to the top of the God King with demigod body. As soon as this news came out, it was like a gust of wind swept through the 9 realms, causing countless shocks. Most people did not believe that a mixed blood could become the heir to the royal power, but the reality happened. This terrified the creatures of the 9 realms, with demigod body, forcibly breaking through the shackles of tradition, becoming the heir to the kingship, and about to ascend to the position of the king of God, shocking the world. At this moment, you have completely become a legend in the 9 realms, and countless people are talking about you. 50th month. Odin pulled you in front of him and told you that he has run out of time, and the future Asgard will be handed over to you. He asks you what Asgard is. You said that Asgard is all the Aesir gods. He nods in satisfaction, and immediately asks you what king. You say the people who rule the country. Odin shook his head. He said that the real king is the king in people's hearts, the respect and love in people's hearts. You seem to be enlightened. Immediately, Odin tells you that in addition to the eternal spear, he also has an infinitely powerful sword of Odin, forged from the legendary Nibelungen ring. One day, you will find this sword, but don't pull it out, because once the sword of Odin is pulled out, it represents the arrival of the ultimate universe. Hearing this, you are slightly surprised. You did not expect that there will be such a sword, and this sword is so powerful. You ask Odin what the ultimate universe is. Odin didn't answer you, just drifted away and fell into a deep sleep. 72nd month. You have become the successor of the kingship, but you have not forgotten your own cultivation. You practice day and night, forgetting to eat and sleep, and your hard work makes the people of Asgard feel more secure. You are almost integrated into their lives and become their spiritual totem. Countless people regard you as their idol, and they learn from you. And you have made great progress through this period of ascetic cultivation. Your ultimate strength has increased to 1,125 tons, and the total value has reached 5,230 tons. You have successfully broken through the 5,000 mark, and the 10,000 tons are getting closer and closer. Your Thor power is also steadily increasing. Your combat power has skyrocketed, and your strength has reached the point where you can instantly turn several metropolises like New York City into rubbish. Compared with the Battle of New York City, your combat power has been greatly improved. Besides, you also got a piece of good news, that is, Tony finally helped you develop a super ability enhancement method. You hurried to Earth, found Tony, and got the super ability enhancement method in his hand. This super ability enhancement method can speed up the development of super ability, and the effect is much better than ordinary training. You have successfully learned this super ability enhancement method. At the same time, Tony regrets to tell you that the information on the fragment of the stone tablet is too little and incomplete, and he can only decipher part of it. If you want to get more information, you need more stone tablets to be spliced, so that you can get more knowledge of life evolution. Tony said that if he can get more knowledge, he can continue to strengthen the super ability enhancement method, and even can make the effect qualitatively change. Hearing the other party's words, you are also a little regretful. After all, there is no more information on the stone tablet on your body. Now Tony has obtained more information on life and evolution through the steel. You think you can let the other party help you to see the terminally ill cells in yourself. Maybe the other party can see some way out of. You immediately communicated this with Tony, who tested the terminally ill cells in you. After the test, Tony's face changed greatly. He told you that your time is running out, and you have at most a few years to live. You were also extremely surprised to hear the other party tell the truth in one word. You didn't expect the other party to really see the clues. After all, you have studied that on the eve of the outbreak of terminally ill cells, it is extremely quiet, and there is no sign of death. As a result, you did not expect that Tony can really see some clues. You ask him what happened. Tony said that the evolution of your cells seems to be consistent with some knowledge on the stone tablet. Using a special method, the efficiency of cell evolution has been greatly improved. No matter what kind of power is learned, the progress will be very fast. However, after Tony's calculation, there will be a result, that is, the cells will become diseased, and finally burst out at a certain moment. You ask Tony how to solve it. He shook his head. He said that if there are more stone tablets and more life information, he may solve it. But now he has limited ability and is helpless. Speaking of which, Tony looks at you sadly. He never imagined that you have only a few short years of life. Looking at Tony, who is a little autistic, you just wanted to comfort him, but you received news that your father, Odin, passed away. It's a lot earlier than you think. You are shocked, and you instantly think of that woman, that is, your eldest sister, Hela, the goddess of death. Her seal has been lifted. You immediately rushed out of the house. You want to summon the power of the rainbow to leave here. At this time, the goddess of death galloped from the sky and rushed towards you with an unimaginable speed. When you see this, wave your hand directly, and the power of the rainbow falls from the sky and hits you. Stop. Hela makes a sound that pierces the sky. Looking at the hand that arrived almost instantly, you felt a surging, terrifying aura like the sea. The goddess of death Hela, second only to the existence of Odin, is the existence of the level Godfather, although it has not fully recovered its strength because of the seal. Looking at the hand so close at hand, a chill rises up your back. Hey. When the goddess of death was about to encounter the power of the rainbow disappeared suddenly, and you disappeared in place by the power of the rainbow. The next moment, you return to Asgard. You can feel the sadness in the air of Asgard. Above the sky, countless divine lights are circulating, very beautiful. You can feel the breath of Odin. You immediately understand that Odin is dead, transformed into pure energy and merged into Asgard. Your heart sinks in an instant. Asgard becomes stronger, and the goddess of death becomes more powerful. After Odin dies, he merges into Asgard. When the goddess of death connects with Asgard, it will be stronger. At the same time, because of the blood and the years of getting along day and night, you also have deep feelings for Odin, and sadness overflows in your heart. You are heading towards the sky above Asgard, and the entire road of Asgard is full of people praying with their eyes closed. Many people even shed tears. Odin is a benevolent king and has a high status in the hearts of the people. Your appearance has attracted the attention of countless people, and there are waves of mourning sounds, like the sea, Your Majesty. Odin died. You officially became the new king of Asgard, the head of the gods, and the father of God. However, at the moment you have no joy of becoming a king, because your eldest sister, the goddess of death, has come, and disaster is about to come. What you need to do now is to transfer all your subjects immediately, leaving an empty shell of Asgard to the goddess of death. As a king, you need to think about your people. This is what your father, the king, told you, and you keep it in your heart. Asgard is there as long as the people of Asgard are. Hey. Thor came galloping from the palace, knelt under you, and called out anxiously, Your Majesty. He said that the previous king had said before his death that the goddess of death would break free of the seal and return, and I hope you make some plans. Hearing the news of the goddess of death's return, Asgard suddenly boiled, and the breath of fear spread. The cruelty and tyranny of the goddess of death. Even the people of Asgard feel fear. As long as she is in power, many innocent people will die. You look at the people below and raise a hand towards the sky. Seeing your action, the originally noisy divine realm instantly quieted down. You have a high reputation, so your gesture has been recognized by everyone, so there is an instant silence to listen to you. Thor looks at your terrifying appeal and is convinced. He understands that you are the father's best choice. You said that everyone immediately left Asgard by airship to find a new home. As soon as this statement came out, the entire divine realm was in an uproar, and some people expressed that they could not accept it. You said that as long as their people are there, then Asgard is there, and your duty as a king is to protect all your people, not this land. %GS at hearing your words, the entire divine realm was instantly silent. Silence is not because of disapproval, but because the entire Protoss did not think that they are so important in your mind. Asgard's people felt a touch of emotion in their hearts. After a while, countless people spoke almost at the same time, and the sound of His Majesty was as huge as a bell, resounding through the divine realm. You quickly called the airship and let people leave. At this moment, on Bifrost, a figure suddenly appeared, and an astonishing aura spread, almost sweeping the entire divine realm. Everyone looked over. It was the goddess of death standing in midair. She looked extremely intoxicated, and she slowly landed towards Bifrost. She said that Asgard's power is more powerful and charming. A hint of panic appeared on everyone's faces, and some people even took a half step back, which shows that Hela's lewdness is amazing. She immediately looked at you. Her face instantly became cold. You left the earth alone with the power of the rainbow, which caused her to waste a lot of effort when she came back. She was very angry. She was going to kill you. Hearing this, The eyes of the entire Asgard people looking at the goddess of death lost a trace of fear and a trace of anger. No one can insult them, king of Asgard, especially Odin and you. Asgard's people are prone to blood and blood. Many of them are warriors, and they are loyal and loyal. Countless people take a step towards the goddess of death, and their anger overcomes their fear. One after another angry voices sounded in the realm of the gods. To kill your majesty, walk over my corpse first. Kill your majesty, kill me first. If you want to kill his majesty, first kill us all Asgard. Otherwise, don't touch his majesty's hair. The goddess of death sees everyone facing you, her face is even colder, and there is even jealousy in her eyes. She said in a hurry, from today, she is the new king of Asgard. Odin is dead, she is Hela. She wants to kill you, see who dares to stop. Speaking, she stepped on Bifrost and walked towards you step by step, and a sword of death emerged around her. Boom. The warriors of Asgard moved first, they were like a torrent. One after another sonorous sound sounded, a sharp sword was pulled out, and the cold light overflowed, and they ran towards the goddess of death. Thor also stood up, he looked at Hela coldly and sternly, threw out Thor's hammer, and charged towards Hela with the hammer, like a cannonball. He shouted loudly, beheaded the enemy, and respected his majesty the great day of enthronement. All Asgard warriors shouted loudly after hearing this, beheading the enemy, and honoring his majesty's enthronement. The voice is mighty, iron-blooded and cold, resounding throughout Asgard. Seeing that everyone is so supportive of you, the goddess of death is almost mad, she shouted and waved her hands directly, and a large number of death swords burst out, rushing towards the torrent of warriors. The clanging sound is continuous. Sparks are flying. The sound of fist is continuous. Blood is flying. One by one warriors constantly fall down, but they keep going one after the other, constantly surging up. It's like a river that never dries up. Seeing the warriors lying down, the people of Asgard also rushed up. They picked up the swords in the hands of the dead warriors and ran towards the goddess of death. They shouted hoarsely and used their anger to wash away their fears. There are 1/3 of your followers, 1/3 of your silent ones, and 1/3 of your opponents. But these are all in the past. Now, they are all your people, and their body is engraved with your mark, and they will always fight for you. On Asgard's territory, there is no soft egg. Unless the entire Asgard is slaughtered, there will always be someone standing in front of you and protecting you. Because you are their king now, you were born for them, and they were born for you as well. For the people of Asgard, people can die, but dignity and national prestige must remain. If today is the day when the foreign enemy killed you, then it is also the time when all of them died. Facing the massive death sword of the goddess of death, Asgard people fell into the pool of blood one after another, but there was not a trace of fear in their eyes, only the anger of wanting to eat people. This scene made the goddess of death even more hysterical. She was completely crazy. She said that she would slaughter the entire Asgard. Only dead soldiers are needed here, no living people are needed. On Bifrost, fresh blood flowed out, completely submerging the rainbow colors, leaving only the shocking blood color. You look at the people who died for you, your whole body is trembling and your eyes are bloodshot. But you didn't go up to fight immediately, you are letting some of Asgard's sparks leave here on a flying ship. You become the new king. The control of Asgard falls into your hands, you can clearly feel the huge power of Asgard, and you can even use this power to fight against Hela. However, the price of this power is too powerful, and there is no distinction between enemy and me. You can use it to destroy Hela, but it will also destroy you. You only have one choice, then leave some fire. Thor knocked open a long sword, and the hammer rushed towards the goddess of death. However, his hammer was easily pinched by the opponent, which shocked Thor, and the next scene shocked him even more. The goddess of death looked at Thor coldly and asked him to surrender, follow her to kill you, and then spare his life. Thor rushes with a fist and said coldly, Thor will never betray his majesty. The goddess of death raged, a sword pierces Thor's eyes, and a tragic voice pierces the sky. Your eyes are about to split, and you stop your hands with a loud shout, shaking the sky and earth, and a terrifying sturdy thunderbolt falls from the sky, slashing at the goddess of death. The goddess of death smiled contemptuously, and summoned a giant sword from the sea to easily break through the thick thunder. However, taking this opportunity, you also successfully used the portal to rescue Thor from there. You let Thor go with the fire, he is not willing, he is a warrior of Asgard, and he wants to live and die with the king of Asgard. You are both touched and sad. You shouted at the realm of the gods, after you die, Thor will be the new king. The rest will kill the enemy with you. You forcibly threw Thor onto the airship and let the airship rush into the universe. After doing this, you look at the battlefield. Countless people go one after the other, blocking Hela. There are corpses all over the ground and blood is flowing. Look at those who used to follow you, Look at those who opposed you. Look at those who were silent. They have all become corpses now, blood flowing from your eyes. You are furious, and with a strong sense of sadness, you shout, Asgard hail. The people who have gone one after another, respond to your words, Asgard hail. You burst out and rushed towards the goddess of death. The power of Odin, which is everywhere in Asgard, was introduced into your body. Your strength has been temporarily improved unparalleled, and you have been elevated to an unprecedented level. However, your body is beginning to crack, blood seeps out, and the pain washes over your nerves. You can use this strength to support for a while, until the fire leaves. You tear apart the sky, like a divine sword rushing towards Hela. The sound of explosion resounds through the world. The momentum is huge and shocking. Fork. You punch the opponent. Your face is hideous. Asgard hail. Watching you use Asgard's power so much, Hela shocked roar, you're crazy. She summoned a giant sword and slammed it towards you, smashing the giant sword with one punch, and finally collided with the opponent's fist. Boom. You burst out and fell heavily on the ground, and huge amounts of sinkholes appeared. The whole Asgard is shaking. Countless people ran towards Hela, trying to kill her, but it's all a long sword. Faced with Hela, Asgard's people hit stones with eggs and moths into flames, but they didn't flinch. Even death cannot stop them. Asgard people never admit defeat. The voices of Asgard hail resounded throughout the battlefield. Pissed. 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 One after another is falling. Many people looked at you, who was full of cracks, and said a few words solemnly, and then generously went to justice and ran to death. Wong. Let me take a step. King. You will always be our king. Die for you. Die for Asgard. I die without regret. Wong. I am too weak. My death may not have any effect, but I tried my best. Your Majesty hail. Asgard hail. Among these people, there are warriors, your ordinary people, even old people and young people. These people of Asgard did not back down. Even if they were not strong enough, they did not back down. He even saw a young girl, smiled at you, and rushed into the battlefield. You look at these people, your blood and tears are fading, you can't save all your people, your heart seems to be pierced by thousands of sharp knives. Your body is shaking. It is the first time in your life that you are so uncomfortable. This unpleasant feeling makes you feel more painful than the severe pain of your body splitting. Using your peripheral vision, you can see that the fireship has finally successfully left Asgard. You understand, it's your turn to end this pain. You stand up slowly, you shout loudly, and the voice spreads throughout Asgard. My people, I am with you, we live and die together, Asgard, hail. Countless people seem to have heard the sadness and decision in your heart, they looked at you, showed a smile, and responded to your words. Asgard, hail. Unparalleled, terrifyingly cohesive sound that pierces almost the entire Asgard. You raised your hand sadly. You unleashed the starburst power of Bifrost and charged towards the goddess of death. Only this power can destroy each other, but at the cost of you guys and Asgard. Boom. The power of the vast and majestic rainbow rushed to the goddess of death. The goddess of death showed a frightened expression. She wanted to escape, but she couldn't escape at all, and she couldn't even speak. The power came quickly, urgently, and in a wide range. In an instant, Asgard is annihilated. The goddess of death is annihilated. And you, too, died. The people on the airship shed tears when they looked at the exploding Asgard. Your Majesty hail, Asgard hail. This simulation is over. The number of simulation days is 72 months, and the cooling time is 72 hours. Analog level. S. When the simulation level reaches S, you can solidify a golden level or an ability below the golden level. Please choose to inherit an ability. The inherited ability will definitely appear in the next simulation. Save the current strength to the host. Subsequently, massive power and knowledge poured into Li Shu's body. The ultimate strength of 5,230 tons is saved. Mana saved. The strengthening version of Thor's power is preserved. Super vision range radius 17 km save. Super hearing range radius 17 km save. Super ability enhancement save. The royal practice method is preserved. Rainbow power related memory preservation. Life stone steel remnant steel knowledge preservation. Boom. An incomparably powerful force poured into Li Shu's body. Each cell of Li Shu gets a rapid strengthening. Soon, every cell of Li Shu was strengthened to a whole new level. Each cell is filled with more majestic power, full of terrifying explosive power. As if every cell had become a dormant beast. Once Li Shu moved, these dormant beasts would explode with unimaginable power. Li Shu squeezed his fist, feeling the amazing power in his physical strength. A satisfied smile appeared. 5,230 tons of terrifying force. In this simulation, the direct increase from 2015 tons to 5,230 tons has increased to a terrifying 3,215 tons. Simply unimaginable. A golden portal appeared. Outside the portal is an endless sea. Li Shu raised his hand and bent his middle finger. A shot at the sea. The powerful and unparalleled muscles erupted at this moment, and every cell woke up like a dormant beast, spewing out terrifying power. That little middle finger exploded with astonishing power at this moment. Boom. A middle finger tore the air, making a terrifying explosion, setting off a strong wave of air. Like a transparent wind knife, it directly tore the sea. A huge amount of gully appeared, long, like a cliff. The scene was amazing. The seawater flowed back and poured into the gully, and finally calmed the gully. Everything seemed like nothing had happened. Only the densely broken corpses of dead fish that kept emerging from the water surface indicated that something amazing had happened here. A world where only fish are injured is formed. Fish means MMP. Seeing the power of his finger, Li Shu showed a satisfied smile. In addition, an incomparably majestic mana poured into Li Shu's body. Compared with the mana in Li Shu's body, it is the gurgling stream in the galloping river. Li Shu's body's mana instantly soared, and the majestic mana was surging in his body. 103 years of mana, plus the previous 10 years of mana. That is 113 years of mana. In other words, an ordinary person needs to practice for so long to have such a huge mana. Feeling the mana in his body, Li Shu felt even more excited. Now the mana in his body has been able to provide a lot of battery life for his magical battles. It allows him to better release high-level magic. At least it is difficult to have a situation where fails to release magic because of insufficient mana. He waved his hand, and the portal disappeared. Boom. The overwhelming power of Thor poured into his body. Electric arcs erupted on Li Shu's body. Li Shu's eyes turned into dazzling blazing white for a moment here, as if countless thunders were quenched together. At the same time, the life information in Thornda in his body is even more vast, and more violent power flows in it. Li Shu looked at his arm. The arcs on it were jumping happily, like an infinite elf. These arcs were slightly blazing white, with an extremely dangerous aura. Then, under his body, there is a power of thunder that is even more terrifying than these arcs that jump on the surface. His thunder power is even more amazing. After all, this is the power that can turn several large cities like New York City into dust. Li Shu squinted slightly, thinking about the description in the simulation. This is the effect of being strengthened by the blood of Odin and then cultivating for so long. Really amazing. Besides, in his mind, the cultivation method of the royal family and the manufacture and use of the power of the rainbow also emerged. It was because of this royal cultivation method that his Thor power increased so quickly. And the power of the rainbow. This extremely powerful destructive force, as well as the ability to transmit. Later, he will use this power to teleport himself to the land of flames, and bring back some blood of the fire dragon to make a life-extending potion. Besides, his supervision and superhearing have also been improved. A radius of 17 kilometers has been reached. However, the rate of increase is really slow. Fortunately, after this simulation, he also obtained the super ability enhancement method, which can speed up the speed of his super ability improvement. At that time, his supervision and hearing can cover the entire New York City. Even later, it will cover the entire United States and even the world. Thinking of this, Li Shu felt a little excited. The only pity is that this super ability enhancement method has not yet come out, and he is gone. Don't know the exact effect yet, but the next simulation will be able to know the effect. In addition, he also has the knowledge of life evolution of the Lifestone Monument in his mind. If there is a chance, be sure to get more fragments of Lifestone tablets. After all, this involves evolution. The unknown terminal illness is created by the knowledge in it, which greatly improves the efficiency of cultivation in an all-round way. If you can get more stone tablets, you might be able to greatly improve your cultivation efficiency without any side effects. Besides, Odin also mentions the Sword of Odin, a powerful and mysterious weapon that even involves the ultimate in the universe. Don't know where this thing is. I don't know what secrets are involved here. Li Shu touched his chin slightly and thought for a moment. Li Shu took another look at the simulation description. Slightly smacking his tongue. This demigod is indeed a bit fierce, step by step to the position of the successor of the royal power, the position of the king of Asgard, and has been followed and loyal by countless people. It even killed Hela in the end. It's just that the price is too high. In the end, the demigod died tragically and solemnly, sacrificing himself and saving part of the fire. But here in the simulation, Odin did die a bit early. Should have strengthened the demigod before, it took too much effort, which eventually led to an earlier death. It's a pity that the demigod he strengthened finally died. However, Thor continued to survive, but left a fire for Odin, which is worthy of Odin's strengthening. In the end, Thor took the fire and left his home. But this time leaving early, it is definitely impossible to meet Thanos. Li Shu thought about the simulation for a while, and then withdrew his attention. Next is the curing ability. His attention was focused on 3 abilities. Son of Odin. Master Blue Stripe, unknown terminal disease. Son of Odin can be ruled out directly. This thing affects emotions and emotions. So Li Shu can't be cured. So I chose one of Blue Stripe Master and unknown terminal illness. Looking at these 2 abilities, Li Shu fell into thought. Unknown terminal illness, it is definitely not cured. That can only solidify Blue Stripe Master, but Li Shu actually quite wants to inherit this ability. After all, a few simulations are equivalent to hundreds of years of mana. However, if this ability is inherited, then unknown terminal disease cannot be inherited. This ability to improve the speed of cultivation in an all-around way is very useful. It is also possible to inherit twice. Moreover, unknown terminal illness is also related to the things in the Life Stone tablet. He still wants to cure unknown terminal illness. In that case, the increase will be permanent. So Li Shu didn't want to give up that much. As for Son of Odin, Li Shu will not inherit this ability. Because according to his memory, one person's divine blood strengthens divine power, and only the first time has an effect. It didn't work after that. So if he inherits Son of Odin, he won't get much benefit. Not as effective as unknown terminal disease. Li Shu pondered for a while. In the end, Li Shu chose to solidify Blue Stripe Master and inherited unknown ability. After all, at present, more mana does not increase his strength very strongly. After all, his magic is more used to assist, and the attack method depends on other abilities. Li Shu said, I choose to solidify Master Blue Stripe. Solid purple ability, Blue Bar Master. Next moment, another majestic mana poured into Li Shu's body. The mana in his body almost doubled again. Feeling the mana in his body, Li Shu smiled. The endurance ability is stronger. S-level evaluation solidifies the purple ability and compensates for a random reward. You get a magic pack. You get 100 years of mana. You get the shield of high-level magic Seraphim. You get half a wand of Vadam, a sword of dragon teeth. Do you want to receive it? Look at the description. Li Shu's eyes lit up immediately. Good guy. Another 100 years of mana. And there is a high-level magic, the shield of Seraphim. This is a high-level defensive magic, and the effect can be much stronger than the small shield of the ordinary ring of Lagogador. It is an all-round defensive move, except that the release speed is a bit slow. There are no other shortcomings, and it can resist a very strong attack. In Avengers Alliance 3, when Iron Man and his party made an emergency landing on Titan, the spaceship fell directly towards the ground. Doctor Strange even used this trick to eat the huge shockwave generated by the fall of the huge ring spaceship. It can be said that the effect is amazing. And this is a ranged defensive move, which can cover a large area, unlike the Ring of Ragador, which is a small shield, and the range that can be blocked is too small and limited. Definitely, in addition to the classic golden shield, the Ring of Ragador also has a further red shield, which is also very powerful. It is definitely inferior to the shield of Seraphim. Besides, in the gift bag, half a Vadam's staff and a dragon-tooth sword were even revealed to him. It's a pity that Vadam's staff is only half. This thing is very powerful and belongs to the top magic weapon. It contains terrifying magic power, which can greatly enhance the magic effect and make the magic burst into stronger power. There are even skills such as healing, teleporting the universe, learning magic knowledge, etc., which are very powerful. It's a pity that only half of it burst out, but it's also very good. It can greatly enhance the power of magic and reduce the consumption of mana. It is also a rare magic treasure for him. The only thing that makes Li Shu a little bit puzzled is probably the dragon-tooth sword. Is this thing a magic tool? It even exploded from the magic gift bag. He pondered for a while, and this thing was a magician named Cassida, who was carved out of a dragon's tusk when he practiced in other dimensions. It later fell into the hands of Valkyrie. In a loose sense, this is indeed a little bit related to magic, making it magician. This sharp sword is extremely sharp and hard, and it can be regarded as a very top sharp sword. Even Thor was amazed when he saw this sword, to know that Thor only has a hammer in his eyes, and that other weapons can arouse his admiration, which fully shows how powerful this thing is. But not to mention, the magic gift package this time is still very rich. When so many things were revealed, Li Shu was very satisfied when he saw the corners of his mouth twitching slightly. He opened his mouth and said, "Receive the reward." Next moment, another surging and huge mana poured into his body. 100 years of mana in hand. In an instant, the mana in his body surged again. His mana capacity has been boosted to a new level. 313 years of mana. Feel the incomparably strong mana within the body. Li Shu also clicked his tongue slightly, before simulation. He has 10 years of mana. His magic can only do auxiliary work. As a result, the simulation ended. Directly soared the mana of 303 years. It's like the feeling of a ditch becoming a big river, a world of difference. But it feels really good. Li Shu smiled. He no longer has to worry about the dilemma of not opening the portal due to lack of mana. Although it is not comparable to the boundless mana of those gods and demons, it is more than enough for him at present. Besides, a brand new spell flooded into his mind, carved into his muscles. As long as he wants, he can easily use this magic. Shield of Seraphim. Advanced defense magic. It is comfortable, and the step of learning is directly omitted. Seeing this shield, Li Shu thought of Kamar Taj again, thought of Ancient One. She still has several magic spells in her hand. Li Shu is greedy. Vishanti's sacred sword, the ancient body of hogs, the spell of the monsoon and other extremely powerful magic. However, these magics are extremely difficult and terrifying. He can only learn when he has the magic ability again, otherwise it will be very difficult to learn, or even difficult to succeed. Speaking of magic, Li Shu couldn't help but think of Loki and smiled. The first magician in the 9 realms, good at illusion and kidney stabbing. As a magician, Loki does not like to use magic. His favorite weapons are 2 small daggers. Loki is often seen in the movies taking out a dagger in battle. After being played by Chi-Chi, Loki mocked Chi-Chi as a second-rate magician, and turned his hand and pulled out a dagger to duel. Even when Avengers Alliance 3 assassinated Thanos, Loki had to stab him with a dagger. According to Loki himself, kidney-picking knives are the most handsome. Therefore, people in previous lives also called Loki the #1 magician in the 9 realms. Li Shu couldn't help laughing at the thought of Loki, a wonderful player. Definitely, it's no wonder that Loki can't cast too strong magic. After all, Loki does not borrow Beelzebub's power, and uses his own mana to do things, so he has less money than those who borrowed it, so there are very few things that can be exchanged. Li Shu retracted his thoughts of straying. 2 things appeared out of nowhere. Li Shu grasped those 2 things. One is a black staff with a head like a devil's head with 2 sharp horns. This is the half of the Wadam staff. Holding it in his hand, Li Shu can clearly feel the majestic sea, as if endless magic. He injected a touch of mana. An orange pattern immediately lit up on it, and a powerful and amazing magical aura emerged from it, as if a dormant beast had woken up. Looking at this staff, Li Shu's eyes flashed with joy. It is really very powerful, and you can feel its hugeness just by perception. Find a chance to try the power of this staff. At the same time, he also smashed his mouth. If you want to get the most powerful effect of Vadam staff, you still have to combine the 2. It seems that he has to find another section to connect later, and the power will be even more amazing. Subsequently, he looked at the dragon-tooth sword in his hand. The pure white and smooth sword body is relatively delicate and small, 2 fingers wide and 60 to 70 centimeters long. It is a relatively small sword. Seeing this sword, Li Shu finally knew why this thing was put in the magic gift bag. Because of the extremely amazing enchantment on it. Originally, it was the teeth of a powerful dragon, and it was already extremely hard, not even inferior to those top metals. Coupled with some enchantments such as reinforcement, hardness, sharpness, and amplification, it is still a very powerful enchantment. This made the dragon-tooth sword even more terrifying. No wonder Thor was amazed when he saw it, because this thing is really awesome. Li Shu held the sword and injected a trace of power of the thunder and lightning. The body of the sword was immediately covered with a layer of blue, and there were traces of electric arcs jumping. He made a few random gestures, crackling, extremely fast, and very easy to use. Li Shu nodded with satisfaction. Not bad, this sword is quite useful. After doing this, he put the 2 weapons back into the bracelet. After doing this, Li Shu decided to take a break. Then tomorrow I will go to the extreme north to get the chicken bull monster in the Land of Flames to get the blood of the dragon. For the current Li Shu, the Land of Flames is not dangerous. After all, the lord of the place, Serta, was horribly slashed by Odin. Unless he takes back the eternal fire and ignites the crown, Li Shu is not afraid at all. As for getting the crown back, that's all in the back. But when he thought of the blood of the fire dragon, he thought of another function of the blood of the fire dragon. In addition to having the effect of prolonging life, this thing can also forge the body and strengthen the physical strength. Bathing in dragon blood can gain a strong physique and longevity, which is almost a common sense. So Li Shu is thinking, if I go to the land of flames tomorrow, should I put more blood? Compared with the amount of potion made, the amount required for body forging is very large, almost 100 times the difference. After all, the medicine is just a small bottle, little finger file size. If you want to bathe in dragon blood, you have to install at least a bathtub of dragon blood. Soon, Li Shu decided that he would bleed more when the time came. After all, it's all here, so what if you don't do more? Even Li Shu was thinking, or else just grab a dragon and come back. In this way, if you want to bleed, it will be more convenient. After all, the consumption of interplanetary teleportation is very huge, and it is impossible for him to borrow Asgard's rainbow power. After all, that thing was closely connected to Odin, and when outsiders moved, Odin knew right away. Moreover, the rainbow power of Asgard belongs to the core strategic power. If outsiders dare to touch it, Odin will dare to go all out. So it seems that the best option is to get a dragon back and develop a sustainable development strategy. In the land of raging flames, many fire dragons felt a chill on their backs, and they suddenly felt a chill.